Austin brought his little brother in today. Huh,
I know. I see that. He's a cute kid. I spent time with his family the other day. It was very interesting, to say the least.
Yeah, we'll get that. We'll get to that.
Yeah.
I just saw that the kid had himself a collection of Pokemon cards. Austin,
wow.
Do you want to tell us a little more about
They're
this?
so popular right now. This Logan Paul guy is doing stuff with it. I mean, yeah. What's it about? Let's hear it. What do you got?
There's a bit of a Pokemon card renaissance, if you will, huh?
Yeah, there is. Yeah, they're going up in value. It's all this crazy stuff.
Tell us about this.
They're like skyrocketing. Gary Vee, who I'm sure you're aware of, he basically told Logan Paul.
He's the social media guru.
Gary Vee.
Yeah.
He told Logan Paul to invest in Pokemon cards because the market is just going crazy. They've doubled in value in like a year.
Wow.
Pretty much.
Doubled?
Something like that.
That's crazy, Danny.
That's an X and then a 2, right?
Yeah.
For like a lot of cards,
Maybe
not the biggest ones, but like Logan just bought a $250,000 card. He said in 3 to 4 years he think it'll be at $1 million.
Okay.
So it's pretty good.
That's pretty insane, man, because I've been thinking about real estate. I've been thinking about stocks. I don't think anybody's been thinking, Leo,
about Pokemon cards, but I think you should consider maybe investing in Pokemon cards, Danny. I think it'd be a good move for you.
I'm going to have to talk to some people. I know Gary Vee follows the Nelk Boys. He follows a fighter I know, Andre Fili. I got to work my way up the grapevine, see if I can get in touch with the Wizard of Oz himself, Gary Vee.
Imagine, maybe you two could sit down, you and Gary, you discuss Pokemon cards, maybe which ones to buy, stuff like that.
Austin, can you bring me some of the cards? I want to see just a sampling of some of the ones you have here.
Don't give him one that's too expensive, but maybe a mid-range one.
Yeah, just give me a nice little plastic binder folder of some neat ones.
Yeah. What's your most expensive card you got there, bud?
Yeah.
Hey, what's your most expensive card, Austin?
Hey, Austin's autistic brother. Answer our
That's
fucking questions.
so fucked up.
He doesn't have a microphone, though, so I guess it's not going to work. I'll echo what he says into the mic.
The kid's a nice kid. They both have matching Mustangs, pretty much. One's beige, one's yellow.
Oh, wow, Yu-Gi-Oh?
What I mainly bought was Yu-Gi-Oh today.
Oh, Yu-Gi-Oh!
Yu-Gi-Oh's pretty cool. So we have Burst Breath, Dark Energy, The Unhappy Girl.
Oh, look at that. The Unhappy Girl, it's a good card. I jerked off to that one when I was a kid.
That's every woman who meets Leo in a parking lot becomes this.
I bought just basically a bunch of bolts from this guy on Craigslist who didn't seem to know what he owned. But my most expensive card that I own at home is probably like $700.
Oh, nice.
Austin, so these are the Yu-Gi-Oh ones?
Austin's a businessman.
Which is some that I just bought like before I came over here.
Which is your favorite card on this sheet here?
The top right corner towards me, the polymerization, the one that's swirly.
What does that do?
That's the card that allows you to fuse 2 of your cards together.
Oh, nice.
It's in the show a lot.
Austin,
cool.
Can you look? The polymerization, it's a swirly, sort of like a hypnotist's wheel. Can you look at it right now, Austin?
I'm looking.
Oh! Yeah, I knew that was coming.
Austin, you're an adult. Grow the fuck up and stop bringing Pokemon cards into our podcast studio. Quit talking about them. Quit wasting money on them. For people who are listening, I just threw this shitty sheet of Yu-Gi-Oh cards across the room. Did you really think I was going to be interested in this bullshit?
I thought Sad Girl was
that
really...
was part of the reason why I handed you the cards that... Like, okay, I had a friend one time do the same thing you just did and bent a card that would be $3,000 today, bent it in half just to fuck with me. So I gave you some ones that I wasn't too worried about.
Gotcha.
Do you have a holographic Gyarados Charizard over there?
I have a Gyarados at home. I didn't bring it. Like, these are just some that I bought from a guy earlier today.
Because I played with Pokemon cards at the appropriate age, Leo.
Gotcha.
4th grade.
Right.
I can't believe you're bringing these in here.
I never played
Leo
with
came
Pokemon
to my
cards.
house recently, and I showed him. I had this binder of Pokemon cards, and I recently went through the value, and it's probably like close to $8,000 worth of cards
You
now.
should sell them immediately.
That's what I'm trying to do.
Yeah.
You should. They're not going to be worth anything after shitbag Gary Vee decides it's over. And I like Gary Vee. I've read his books. He did a lot for my career, but he's wrong
good,
on this one.
He's wrong on the Pokemon cards, huh?
He's wrong at a lot of things. The thing I don't like about Gary Vee is he's glamorizing the gaming, he's glamorizing the Pokemon cards, and what that's doing is, okay, to the 1% of the kids out there who are very entrepreneurial and motivated, who can turn their Counter-Strike playing, their Fortnite into money, good for you, do it. But those kids would be successful in any venture. What he's doing is he's giving licenses to these kids who live at home and inhale more marijuana smoke than oxygen. He's giving license to them to be fat slobs and play video games all their waking hours. That's what he's done.
How did he make his money? Was it with, I think it was wine, right? Originally?
I believe he helped his dad's liquor store business.
Yeah.
But then he left that and he started his own company, and he didn't retain any money from his dad's liquor store. He just saved a bunch of money from that, and I think he invested it in Uber and Facebook when they were first being offered.
What if you were a trust fund kid, Danny? What if you just had a $14 million in the bank? You think you'd be doing this?
Yeah.
Yeah?
I think I would, Leo.
You wouldn't have gone to grad school or, I don't know, gotten some cushy job somewhere where you didn't have to do too much and just paid for
Leo,
prostitutes with giant tits?
I would be every single day waking up at 6 a.m., editing videos, writing videos, and then on the weekends going out there and riling up the public.
Okay.
I would, no, who am I fucking kidding? I would be doing the thing with the girl with the fake tits.
Yeah.
I asked about this. We were doing my improv class today.
Oh, God.
And I was asking a girl, she said she fantasized about having a chauffeur and a nice car. And I was just thinking about how the week before that, I didn't share this with the class, I was fantasizing about hopping on a first-class Delta flight to Vegas with a girl with big old fake titties who I hadn't fucked before. Because we all know once you fuck a girl once, it's not as exciting ever again. And going to Vegas, feeding her fucking clams, her oysters with a little spoon in a restaurant.
Aphrodisiac,
Yeah.
Turns her on a little bit.
Drinking some wine, lighting up a cigar right there in the middle of the restaurant, smoking or non-smoking, and then going out to a nightclub, getting so fucked up on ecstasy that I could barely see straight, before going back and just making her lick my ass in the suite for a couple hours.
A couple hours straight? Wow. See, that's the life, man.
Yeah.
I have a really strong feeling that you slip up in class sometimes and say either something, A, sexist, B, really too inappropriate for the class, or C, I'm not going to say racist, but, maybe a little inappropriate in a cultural sense. So you never slip up in your improv class?
Leo, I think you're going to be really interested in this. I've become one of the PC police in the class.
Yes.
I don't know how it has happened to me.
You can't say that. What do you do?
Okay. Just to fill everybody in from last time, I got into an improv class. It's operated over Zoom. Within the first 2 minutes, the girl was asking us about our pronouns, talking about how she needed to check her privilege as a white woman, telling us white men we needed to be aware of our intimidation and how we were coming off to people and if we were scaring people, things of that nature. But what started happening in the class is these numbskulls. It's the only improv class I've ever been in where race and political correctness was explicitly mentioned. And everybody, including the black guy, is slipping up and saying incredibly racist shit all the time.
What?
Let's do okay, you and I have to say words back and forth that start with K right now. Don't try to make it funny or interesting. I'm going to start off. Knight, like a knight in shining armor.
Knife.
Kike.
Caca.
The black guy, I'm sorry, I should have made that more clear, said kike when it came around to him. And I was...
You could have said kite, dude. It's not even that far off.
K words are a little hard because most of the k sounds are C's, I realized, to my chagrin. But I couldn't believe it. And then the teacher, she was like, wait, excuse me, Michael, it sounded, did you say kite or did you say knife or... No, I said kike. And she's like, okay, is everybody on the same page here? A kike, I think, is a slur. And he's like, oh, shit, I didn't know that.
This guy, are you serious? He seriously said that?
He said kike, and I couldn't believe it. And
you dying on the inside?
Oh, dude, dying. But now it's come to the point where today, for instance, this guy, have you heard the story about the guy who used to tightrope walk across buildings?
Yeah.
And he was the best ever at it. But then he started imagining himself falling. And he said that in the press. And a couple months later, he fell off a tightrope and died. What's up, Bill Dawes?
Billy Dawes.
We
didn't get a text, but that's great. Come on in. No, I love it.
I think this guy in the... Yeah. You can come across...
Sit right there, baby.
How you doing, sir?
Oh, man.
He's okay. I'm sorry. I shouldn't have shook hands. That was my fault.
No, I give him.
Like the tightrope walker who started saying or seeing falling in his head and then fell. I think everybody is making a concerted effort to not be racist, and they're just doing the most racist shit ever. Yeah. There was a dude in the class talking about how the beaches in L.A. have homeless people on them. The gentleman who said that was black. And then so we had to turn that into a scene. And this dude from Buffalo, New York's like, yeah, the homeless people on the beaches, some of them are white, some of them are fucking black.
No way.
And I tense up, and I told you, it's like Stockholm syndrome. I've become this PC guy. I start making faces up in the upper right-hand corner of my Zoom window, like, oh, shaking my fist. That won't do. That was so offensive. I raise my hand. I'm like, hey, you got to watch it there, how you specify race. And these, are you saying that people, because they don't have homes, they're more inclined to be black? Are you saying there's a causal relationship, buddy? And then I step back a second, and I think, what have I become, Leo?
Well, look, he's taking an improv class online now.
You can't. Oh, we gotta edit that out.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. They'll find out. Yeah. Remember that? Should we clap?
Do you really think Austin's gonna remember that?
No, he's not.
This guy smokes so much weed, Bill Dawes.
Yeah. If you want some weed, he'll get you some.
Maybe in a bit.
All right. Yeah.
Let me get some footage.
And also,
Dude, you look good, man. I like the beard. I like the beard. It's just not a lot of acting jobs, so you can.
I'm playing a white nationalist in a movie I start shooting this Saturday.
Oh
yeah, that's nice.
shit.
Austin is playing a white nationalist in real life.
He is. We call him.
School shooter, or is that
He does look like a school shooter.
We call him alt-right Austin,
Yeah.
Bill. He's just very conservative.
Yeah, he's very
That's-
conservative. He listens
MAGA
to Tim
Hope
Pool.
texted me today too. I'm hanging out with him on Saturday at the Trump protest.
Okay, well, before you worry about that stuff, can you worry about making sure I can hear Bill
Yeah,
in my fucking
I can't hear him
headphones?
in my headphones either.
This kid's hopeless, Bill. This
You
kid
should be solid.
Can you hear me now?
Oh,
Yes,
yeah.
we
There
can.
we go, baby.
There we can. Now we absolutely.
All right, we have Bill Dawes on. Let me give him a little intro. This is a man who's been around the comedy game for a very long time. He's a well-known stand-up comedian, but not only that, he was on Broadway. He played Mickey Mantle on Broadway, but amongst other characters. But also, he went to Princeton. He's a very interesting man. He has a lot of life experience, and he was one of my mentors, honestly. I met him 10 years ago. Absolutely. That made me want to get into stand-up. I've been seeing him do stand-up for a long time. But this is Bill Dawes, a great guy. Give him a follow for sure. And he was we actually all did a stand-up show together.
That's right, in New York.
In New York. Yeah.
That was a night that I think is worth going back to, revisiting.
Yeah.
a little bit.
Absolutely.
Well, let me tell you, can I talk about my point of view from it?
Sure.
So I hadn't met you yet, Danny. I'd heard great things about you from Leo. Seriously, you're looking at me like I'm lying. And then I show, and he goes, "Hey, will you do this show?" Because you'd asked me to do the show, and I was like, "Of course, man." And then Ruman,
Yeah.
I guess maybe he asked me. I forget. Anyway, I show up, and Ruman was just kind of pacing around, looking so distraught.
Oh, yeah.
He was so upset. He's like, "Man, I don't know, dude. Like, Danny's fucking with me." I was like, What do you mean? I had no idea there was this whole weird kerfluffle that happened beforehand. And then when I met you briefly, I was like, this dude is Loki.
Yeah.
He's fucking around, dude.
Yeah,
He's
absolutely.
mischievous. He's having a great time.
Yeah.
He's promoting the show.
Exactly.
He's
Sold
promoting
out.
himself, which is what it's about.
Yeah.
Yep.
And Ruman was taking it so personally. So I
personal,
kept saying, like, dude, don't take it personal. Like, I think he was literally afraid that someone was going to, like, one of your fans was going to jump him.
He was worried about that. And I'm going to back up a little bit. I think it's been long enough. A lot of the fans are probably so new they don't even remember this incident last year.
Yeah.
And it started out, Bill, Leo asked me to come do the show. Ruman made a flyer. Things were coming together. The venue was booked. We were ready to start promoting. And I noticed that Ruman had put himself dead center, headliner in the banner, and I was directly to his left, which is still pretty primo billing.
Some good billing.
But I was driving up to Santa Barbara to see my girlfriend, and I just, that mischievous streak you're referring to, I just said, you know what? Fuck this. I'm going to cause a huge hullabaloo about nothing. And so I just pulled into a Starbucks parking lot. I started telling Ruman over a story that I was going to fry him like a little sunfish up on that stage. The sunfish thing, a lot of the fans, they
off.
dropped on that.
They still comment sunfish on his page.
Why
pretty much on the
sunfish? How
day.
did sunfish come about?
Because
Made it up, I think.
you know, in comedy, you got to be very specific. And I didn't want to say trout or salmon. Those are hackfish. Sunfish. I remember when I was a little, like, 14-year-old, I used to be out with my dad catching sunfish on Sundays.
yeah.
And if I could catch them, somebody who knew nothing about fishing, I imagine they're a very easy fish. And Ruman, I thought that would be...
So, like, easy
insulting.
target, basically. is what I'm
Exactly.
saying.
Easy target. Yeah.
I was looking for the racist undertone, like maybe something that Indian people like, but no.
No. Bill is dead on. You know who thought it would for sure had to be a racial slur and who was trolling Urban Dictionary? Like, what does he mean? I need to decode this. Is this a Muslim Sunni attack? Does he hate the Shias? What's
It's a dog whistle.
exactly? Yeah, Austin. No, we're not going to open this up. It wasn't anything like that. It just meant I thought he was going to be an easy target on stage. But then Ruman started fighting back a little bit, at which point it became a serious thing to me. It's
Yeah.
like when you run from a pit bull in the street, and at first they didn't give a shit about you. It was just walking, but then you get spooked and you take off the other way. The pit bull's going to chase.
Yeah.
Siri turned on with that one, Danny. That was interesting.
That's how I was. My chase instincts just took over, and I started piling on, to the point where a lot of tickets started getting sold because they thought, I think honestly, they expected a fist fight on stage. Maybe
Yeah.
they thought I actually hated the guy.
You really think it got that big?
Well, a couple of the kids in line, they had actual tomatoes because he fucking put out the word like, "Bring your tomatoes." So they had actual tomatoes. I was like, guys, put those in the trash. Nobody can throw tomatoes or get
Yeah.
kicked out of here. But yeah, they took it seriously. But
Was this when you first realized that you were actually a cult leader, Danny?
Yeah,
I guess so. And I'm going to tell you guys right now, I'm a much better cult leader than I am stand-up comedian. The preparation for that show was I did a couple of open mics.
And then you got hammered.
A disinterested PC lesbian comic in the crowd.
Yeah.
And then this social media influencer guy
yeah.
who was also just a piece of shit at one of my open mics and who was on his phone the entire time I went. I did that. Did a live show with Leo, which I was a little more sober for.
Yeah.
And then it was just off to New York for this sold-out show, which
Right.
I had no business performing at. So my idea was just be more attitude and flair than substance. And it was interesting. I'm not sure what it was.
By the
it was
way,
interesting.
yeah, go with it because
You go with
attitude
it,
and flair
yeah.
can get you going very
right.
far.
That's right.
There's nothing wrong with that.
It was interesting to see you perform in front of that crowd because I with my limited experience, and I had been doing, I'd done maybe like 30 stand-up shows that year. I couldn't get their attention. I couldn't keep them. I could make a section of them laugh. I couldn't get the whole crowd going. But you were able to round up those fucking kids who probably, a lot of them had never even been to a stand-up show and fucking killed it. You did a phenomenal set. And it was nice to see. It was a learning. It was nice to see that all different types of levels of experience in stand-up go against that crowd.
Well, one thing I learned from watching, I think Godfrey was the one who taught me this. I don't know if you know Godfrey, the comic. He's
Gilbert
also,
Gottfried?
not Gilbert Godfrey, Black Godfrey from
Okay.
Nigeria. But he's, I watched him I did a charity show with him at the Laugh Factory, and it was one of these, like everyone there was so PC, and half of them were lesbians, and everything about it was like protecting a woman's right to whatever, I don't know. And
That made its way into their material. That's what they were talking about on
so
stage.
the whole thing, I think it was like a Planned Parenthood charity or something like that. But it was the most
Jesus.
serious charity. It was like
That's a bummer.
It was like babies with cancer, some sort
Yeah.
of charity with that. And then you have to go do jokes like, hey, here's
Yeah.
a dick joke. And everyone was bombing. And I was like, oh, this is just a lost cause. You
Yeah.
can't. Everyone's going to bomb. I go up there and I felt like I was pretty good at that point, and I bombed. And Godfrey went up there and he was just like, I don't give a shit. I don't give a shit about you people. You don't like me. And he ended up murdering. At that point, I realized like you can always, it doesn't matter what the crowd is, there's always a key. There's always a key to find a way into the crowd and make them laugh, you know?
What was Godfrey doing? Was he addressing the situation, making jokes about Down
Yeah.
syndrome babies and Planned Parenthood?
No, I think he was just addressing like how weird it is. And he kind of went into this whole idea about how he didn't really give a shit, because I think the death of really good comedy is people who are really worried what the people are going to think. So if you go into this crowd like, oh, they're not going to like me, you're already setting yourself up for disaster.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
It's why Bill Burr is, so successful.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Because he is at the point now where he does not give a shit
Doesn't
at all
give a
what people
shit.
think.
I just read a Jeff Ross book, and it was fantastic, by the way. I expect it to be just a hastily written piece of shit that a comedian writes to make a quick publishing advance, but it was really fucking good. Jeff Ross's philosophy on roasting, his first couple years in L.A., and he told a story. This is going to be a real anticlimax because I don't remember the details, but basically he got called on to come roast at a guy's funeral, and he just immediately started making jokes about how the guy died and the guy's loser family.
Oh my
and
God.
He killed, he said. He just turned in like you're supposed to get out of a skid by
Yeah.
turning into the skid.
Yeah.
He did that with comedy, and he completely won the crowd.
Wow.
Whereas if you go up there and you just go into generic material that's one size fits all, you could tell it at any sort of event, it's not going to be received as well, I guess. Or that's what I'm gathering from what you said.
Yeah, exactly. I was just having this conversation with someone recently about doing urban rooms and like black rooms, because I used to be very afraid of doing black rooms. And by the way, I'm still like get a little bit trepidant about it, but you got to lean in. You got to like
Gotta
lean
lean
into
in,
it. If you
yeah.
have a joke that is, should I say this joke? Say it, but if you say it, you got to fucking say it with your whole fucking heart and
Yeah.
balls and
Yeah.
taint. You got to go up there and go. I used to do a joke about dating a black girl and how my dad disapproved because he said it was against the Bible, which is all true. And then I go, first of all, Jesus was black. And they were like, hell yeah, Jesus was black. I go, he had to be. First of all, he ran with a posse. That gets a little bit of a laugh. I go, a posse short for apostle, a little bit of a laugh. And then I said something else. I said, if he did any work at all, it was a miracle. And so they're liking me, and I say that joke, and there's like a little bit of ooh, there's a little bit of like ooh, like but then I look at him and I go, like we're in a comedy show.
Yeah.
You've been laughing, motherfuckers,
Yeah.
so you laugh at that too. Because I'm
Yeah.
about to
That's
talk
right.
about how your dicks are big in a minute, so
Yeah.
deal with it.
Yeah.
That's so. I've never seen you even close to bomb. I'm sure you've bombed. I mean, what do you have like a terrible bombing story? Because I never even seen you bomb.
Oh, the worst I probably ever bombed, at least in recent years. Because you get to a point in comedy where you're like, I'm not going to bomb again, bro.
Right, exactly. Yeah.
And usually when you headline, you're not going to bomb because there's at least half the crowds there see you. Yeah. But I did a show in New York called Sweet. This guy, Seth Herzog, has this. It's an alt show. Now, I'm not necessarily an alt comic, but I can do alt rooms and do pretty well.
Now, what is alt comedy? Because like a lot of my favorite comedians, Artie Lang, Nick DiPaolo, these very men type comics from New York, they talk very scornfully about alt comedy. Is that just more of the turtleneck, purple hair, lesbian style scene? Like making jokes about nerdy topics? What is alt comedy?
I mean, that's close to what it is. It's really it's comedy that is considered to not play to the lowest common denominators. Like you're not going to, if it's sexist, you can't really be sexist or misogynistic. You can't be racist. So everything has to have some sort of undercurrent of responsibility for people's feelings. That sound like a weird way of saying it. But the result of that is because you're responsible for people's emotional lives in the show, you do stuff that's a little more abstract and weird. Like you'll talk about unicorns and robots and fucking weird shit that can't offend anyone because it's sort of abstract and...
Yeah, I feel like so often alt or surreal or just label slapped over stuff that should be labeled not funny. Just if you're not getting laughs, if your TV show nobody fucking understands it or laughs at it, it's because it's postmodern. You know?
Yeah.
I hate that, but I want to hear your bombing story.
If you want to hear one of the best sort of dissertations about alt comedy, Bill Burr does a rant about it. Just
Really?
like Bill Burr alt comedy, and it's on his podcast because Bill Burr has always been embraced by clubs and the alt comedy scene. And his big thing is like, I'm so sick of these fucking alt comics who they can't go on the show early enough. Like, God forbid you have to follow a club comic who's like used to murdering. You're like, I gotta go first. I gotta get out. I gotta go first because it's an easier job if you're like second or third as opposed to like the closer of a show and you're up there reading a memo and you're all nerdy and fat with glasses and a man bun. So no offense to man buns, Leo. You know,
And no offense to nerdy and fat guys, Leo. Fucking loser.
So so he basically was like the people who really were the godfathers of the alt scene were people who came out in like the Southern Circuit, the most vicious, like the circuit where you get your ass kicked. You know what I mean? These were fucking Mark Maron, right? Patton Oswalt, David Cross.
Two of my least favorite comedians, by the way, Mark Maron and Patton Oswalt. And David Cross, I've heard, is a piece of shit too.
Oh, really?
I didn't like Mr. Show much. That's the only thing I've seen.
Yeah.
But I'm sorry.
So anyway, but they came up doing clubs in a very tough market, and they became sort of like the forefathers of the alt scene. And then the people who benefited from that, like, just ended up performing for people who were already like indoctrinated into their ideology. So they had to fight anything. Like if you ever go to an alt room and someone goes up there like, I've been thinking about killing myself because I'm fat and I have a small dick. Like
that gets laughs.
Oh, it gets because you're the victim.
Yeah,
Gotcha.
If you go up there like, I got a big dick, like swagger.
Like Leo would get booed off
I'd
stage
get booed
before
off
he said a
stage for
word,
sure.
just for looking
Yeah.
the way he does.
I think both of you would have a tough time alt scenes, but it doesn't mean you couldn't do an alt scene, but you just have to be as vulnerable as possible so they don't feel threatened.
Right.
Honestly. So what happened to me is I did Sweet, which is an alt show. And by the way, there's some alt comics who I think are brilliant and they blow me out of the fucking water. There are a lot of guys. I mean, even like Drew Michael, who's kind of an alt comic. Like, I don't want to like the guy, but he's pretty fucking brilliant, you know? Good, yeah. And he can kill in any room. So I was up there. It was 3 days after the Harvey Weinstein thing broke.
Bad time.
And it's East Village, New York. A lot of women, and they're all like from Brooklyn. And I was like, well, I got to address the pink elephant in the room. So I started kind of just riffing about like how he jerked off into a plant. And I was like, the story about how he like jerked off into a plant, like, what about that plant? The poor plant's just sitting there. I don't know, just something like.
That's funny to me.
It's just like
It is funny.
It's funny.
so. There's a comic named Jenna Friedman who used to write for The Daily Show, and she's doing well on her own. She's on the show. I'm hosting the show. She starts heckling me.
Holy
I'm heckled
shit.
by a comic on my show. She's like, "Shut up."
What the fuck?
I couldn't believe it. I was like, "Wait, that's fucking Jenna Friedman. She's fucking what?" And then someone was like, "Oh," and then I had a friend there. I brought my friend for like a sidekick,
So funny.
and my friend was like, he was like, "Yeah, we're going to go back and forth like fucking Paul Schaefer and Johnny Carson, da 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 da, whatever." And as I was going, he was just like slowly like retreating,
Oh shit.
like he wouldn't say shit. So I'm looking over him for help. He's just like.
Oh my god.
Because he's like an actor on the blacklist. He's like, I'm not going to be associated with this shit at all. Yeah. And there was something about it where I just stood there in this fucking silence where I was like, this is kind of cool. Yeah. That's a weird feeling where you the tickle in your taint where you're just like, ugh. And someone's like, I'm just going to watch you fucking bury yourself. I'm like, this is a free show in the East Village. Yeah. I'm not fucking burying myself, you dumb cunt.
Yeah, there we
You know
go.
what I mean? Yeah. And, which obviously didn't help my cause.
Yeah, of course.
But Jenna Friedman came up after heckling me the whole time, and then she comes up for 5 minutes, starts like ripping on me, and then she has a fine set. So I come
You
back.
don't have to keep complimenting her. You keep
No, but
hedging your bets here. You said she's doing well on her own. She had a fine. She's a cunt.
She's a
By the way,
cunt.
her comedy CD is called American Cunt.
Oh,
So
God damn it!
God.
But she's co-opted that term.
I follow. I go
She's
up
a
on
fat
stage.
whore.
I go up on
She's a
stage,
fat
and
whore.
I'm like, Jenna, get back here, have a seat. Nice. And I said, what would you heckle me if I'm the host of the show? And she actually, to her credit, she kind of apologized because there's no circumstance. I don't give a fuck what you think about the comic is doing on stage.
Yeah.
We heckle another fucking comic you're on the same show. Any comic, even if
Never.
you're not on the show.
Yeah.
It's so. I was like, heck, you didn't have to do that, Jenna. It was kind of. And she was like, yeah, I know, because she had a good set. She was fine. She could then talk about it.
Of course.
But that's alt comedy in a nutshell.
First of all, I love the bit you got heckled for.
That's fucking awesome.
For
That's
just
hilarious.
a riffing, I can understand. Like, I'm seeing the plant behind a desk in a courtroom testifying against Harvey Weinstein, and the reparations it wins is like a fine window with a nice sun-drenched place. They start pouring in a little Blue Label instead of water.
Blue Label, right.
You get a little bit of liquor. You got to fucking make that plant feel better. It's
I
been
love that
traumatized.
And maybe like 3 weeks after, but 3 days after was definitely like people were like, you could just tell the audience was like, don't you fuck, you're a white man and you've probably assaulted women. You better not say shit.
Yeah.
There's that feeling. And I made the wrong choice. I mean, really, it's about when you bomb, it's about not if you're good or bad. It's like, what choices did you make? Sometimes you just go down the wrong path. And I was like, I should have just made it as goofy as possible. The goofiest non-sexual, non-relationship thing ever, you know?
I want to talk about how hard stand-up is and how you can't fake it and how it seems to me that the only remedy for shitty stand-up comedy is just a decade, 2 decades of practice. I was noticing this recently. I noticed it, first of all, right away when I hopped up on stage in New York. I did a lot better at the LA show, but I was shit-faced. I was nervous for the New York set.
He's tired.
There's something, even if your material is strong, which I'm not saying mine is, but I'm saying, say a guy's a great joke writer. He writes for television. He writes for other people. A guy I'm thinking of right now is, I think, Robert Smigel. Do you know him? He works with
he
Louis
used to write all
C.K.
the SNL sketches,
Triumph the Insult Comic Dog.
Yeah.
I've been watching those bits lately. They're ingenious. They're very helpful to me as a comedy writer, as a YouTube video writer. But he did stand-up on the roast of Alec Baldwin, and he bombed. His jokes were not landing. He had Jeff Ross with a physical snare drum and cymbal to do his jokes, which was a saver. It made the shitty jokes seem more funny. But I realized, like, this guy has all the comedic talent in the world, but he clearly doesn't have enough stage and mic time for it to translate into stand-up comedy. Do you agree with that?
What, Robert Smigel?
Do you agree with the idea that there is no substitute for just getting on stage and doing stand-up to be good at stand-up?
I mean, Danny, I'll say this to you out about you're obviously a super smart guy, super charismatic. If you wanted to be a great stand-up, it's right there. It's at your disposal.
It is. I agree.
So
and I
it
think
just
it would
means-
help our cause too, because he could fucking fill up little arenas.
Yeah,
all over.
I would keep doing
we
it.
could have Bill Dawes come out on the road with us, man. It'd be
That'd
a
be
great
tight.
fucking time.
I would like to have Bill Dawes on the fucking radio.
Mad pussy, dude. Let's go.
And look, there's no shame in also having people help you write jokes.
Yeah.
Be like, hey man, I have this bit. Like I've read. I can't say all the comics I've written for.
I was
because-
gonna ask. Can you tell? I know some of them. Can you talk about some of the guys you've written jokes for?
Well, the people who wouldn't care because, I mean, I wish it was people like, oh yeah, I wrote for Patton Oswalt. No, I wrote for Jamie Kennedy for years.
He's great on stage. People might think of him as that guy from Malibu's Most Wanted. He's kind of killing on stage.
He's got talent, and he has such vocal ability. Like he can do things in his stand-up that I can't do because of his vocal ability.
Yeah, he has. Yeah, exactly.
And
he has noises and shit. Yeah.
So I was writing for him for a few years. I wrote for Steve-O.
Oh, shit.
Which, I mean, he came to me. He had never really done it. And he was like, hey, man, can you write some jokes for me? I really like your stuff. And he's another guy, such a fucking cool guy.
Great
nice guy.
Inspiring story,
Inspiring. And he has a lot to say, but he hadn't formulated it into, like, jokes yet.
He doesn't have any idea.
So that's just, and then, different people here and there, but I can't really talk too much about it.
What do you get paid for a writing gig like that? And how do you get paid? Is it per joke? Is it a monthly fee you're paid?
Well, for example, with like Jamie Kennedy, he was doing a special for Comedy Central, and he said, I want you to just do punch-ups on this. And he gave me, so it was like a 50-page document of what he wanted to do. And he paid me $3,000 just to punch it up. Which is nice. And I think Steve-O was around the same. Steve-O was incredibly generous. I couldn't believe it. He only used like 4 of my fucking jokes for a special. Oh, and he paid me like $2,000 or something. So usually it's, and there's some people you just write for on the kind of DL, and they pay you by letting you open for them or feature for them or different things like that, like different sort of bartering things. But it's really fun, man. I really like writing with people and for people. This woman named Sarah Cooper, do you know who she is? She just blew up. Like, she got so famous so fast for her Trump voiceover.
I think I know.
She's like a light-skinned black woman, and she would lip sync Trump, doing like, okay, you want to inject the stuff? You can inject it here, and it was really fucking funny. And she ended up knowing me and being kind of a fan. I was like, I want to help you write, because I knew she was going to blow up. This is back in March. I was like, you're about to blow up. Can I be a writer? And she was like, yeah, sure. And then she fucking blew up, sure enough. And I was like, hey, can I help you write your Netflix show that she got? And I never heard back from her. But
shit.
But I sat there and I wrote jokes for her on spec, hoping that she would respond. And it's fun because sometimes when you can step outside yourself and write for someone else, you can have a perspective that makes your jokes even better. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I'm going to say, Jamie Kennedy? Is that? I'm going to say that sounds a little low. $33,000 for a 50-page document?
Oh, it is.
It is.
Rich people are cheap as fuck. Let's be honest.
He's cheap, dude. I think he's worth like $10 million last time I checked.
What a fucking asshole.
No, it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. But like for
Steve-O
me
too, $2,000?
But Steve-O was like literally like I wrote like for 5 hours.
Right. It wasn't a big deal.
No,
that's a good.
And then he didn't use it. And I
hourly.
also feel guilty. Like if you use 4 of my jokes for $2,000, that just makes me feel bad.
Yeah, of course.
And also, Bill, the first time I saw you was the gig you did for Tucker Max.
Oh, fuck.
Who I've talked about various times because he was a big influence for me.
How old are you when you were like a teenager, obviously?
When I first read that book?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was one of those things where the kids you went to high school with, and my age, their older brothers were getting into Tucker Max. Like, dude, this guy drove fucking drunk. And like, of course, he was inspiring a new generation of shitheads to get behind the wheel of their Civic after 16 Bud Lights and drive home. Yeah. So he had a lot of negative effect on the... But what I took from it is here was a guy who was writing funnily about his own life and making his own life interesting, which I adapted for video later on. So I kind of see myself as an heir of that Tucker Max tradition. But Bill helped Tucker promote Tucker's movie called I Hope They Serve Beer in Hell, based off his #1 New York bestseller book, I Hope They Serve Beer in Hell.
Yeah.
The book was a gigantic hit. It's still great. I recently revisited it. They still hold up. The movie was a disaster.
Yeah.
Artistically, it was a disaster. But Bill got a really sick gig promoting it, doing man on the street shit. And it was clever. You'd throw on the fedora, act gay, and he would go interview the dudes protesting Tucker Max. The dudes... A lot of dudes and a lot of girls, very PC, college campus types, and Bill would troll the fuck out of them, dude.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's great. You can, if you just look up Bill Dawes hosting reel, I think you could see it. It was
just
a lot of fun.
Bill Dawes, Tucker Max. I hope they serve beer in hell. Go watch it. It's good stuff.
Awesome. Yeah, I have a very interesting relationship with Tucker Max. I don't have a relationship with Tucker Max anymore, by the way.
Why is that?
I think there are a couple of reasons. First of all, I got paid a fuck ton of money to do that gig. It was like,
Fuck yeah.
well, for me, I'm fucking poor. But
How
it's
much
like,
did you get paid?
I got paid like 18 grand for
Wow.
a month to be on the bus and just interview people. I'm like,
Having a great time. I
having a
bet,
great
too.
time
Yeah.
on Usher's old tour bus.
Holy shit.
And
You know.
Tucker Max at that point was still single, I imagine, and was still getting hammered, and his friends were all getting hammered and partaking in the local college vagina that was coming onto the bus.
Well, here's the thing I gotta say about Tucker that I think you might appreciate. Like, so when I first met Tucker, the reason I met Tucker, I'll be quick with this story. I was writing. There's a guy named Balthazar Kormakor who's a fucking Finnish filmmaker or whatever, and he hired me to do a rewrite of a script about a stand-up comic. So I was like, cool, let me go look at the humor section of Barnes & Noble when that was a thing to see if there's anything that can inspire me, like a good autobiography from a comic. And if you go to the humor section of Barnes & Noble, it was like 101 ways cats like to poop, how dogs like to fart on cats. Like, it's all just dumb shit, brightly colored. Like Uncle John, like it's 90% Uncle John's bathroom reader. And I saw this one black book that said, I hope they serve beer in hell. I was like, huh. Look at the cover. It's Tucker Max with a girl's face cut out.
I thought he was about to say Uncle Tom's Cabin was the one black. That is a funny book.
So I go, oh, this guy's an asshole. I turn around and goes, my name is Tucker Max. I'm an asshole. I'm like, I'm going to buy this book.
Yeah.
So like you said, it still holds up. It's fucking funny as shit.
Yeah.
And there's stuff at the time that inspired me as a comic because he was speaking into existence a lot of stuff that I'd been thinking. And I had a very popular show in New York at the time called Bill Dawes College Night.
Ooh.
Ooh.
Must have had a good time.
I'm a little bit too old for that at the time. I wasn't in my college years. But so I said, hey, man, if you want to come, I have a popular show. I'll give you bottle service, hang out with your friends. And he goes, dude, I've been hearing about you because I had a very popular, not to brag, guys, I had a popular blog on MySpace.
Ooh.
You did, huh?
That's awesome.
Congrats, man.
Yeah. So he'd heard about my writing. He hired me to write for Rudius Maximus. I became friends with him. He introduced me to jiu-jitsu. And so I liked him. I was like, he's kind of a cool guy. And a lot of the bluster, you're like, okay, it's just bluster. It doesn't really matter. But the thing that I became very aware of, like, Tucker Max, the persona, and Tucker Max, the person, are kind of two different things. Like, have you met Tucker, by the way?
I've talked to him on the phone briefly.
Oh, okay.
When I started out in comedy, he had a thing on a website called Clarity FM where you could call him and get a business consultation for, I think it was a half hour for $150, which is ridiculously cheap from a guy of his profile, actually. And I talked to him twice on there.
Yeah.
So I know a little bit about him.
Yeah.
Personally.
And I guess before I met him, I was kind of picturing Good Will Hunting, like Matt Damon, Good Will Hunting,
yeah.
like a dude with fucking hands and shoulders and a dick who's like, I'll fuck you up. I'm also smarter than you, and I can also fuck you up, and I'll fuck your girlfriend. So I kind of had this, like, I don't want to say man crush, but this idea of, like, this is a fucking dude.
You picture it, Leo. A dude will fuck your girlfriend.
Something closer to Leo, right?
Yeah.
But then you meet him. You shake his hand. You're like, did I just shake a carny hand?
Yeah.
Like, he has these little feminine little hands.
Really?
And then we started jiu-jitsu, and he would, like, beat. He'd been doing it for a couple of years or 3 years, and I was brand new. He was like beating me up, like, dude, you know, and he kind of had like a little lisp in his voice. I'm like, okay, you know, like, it's cool. He's so cool. And then I started doing jiu-jitsu more, and I started just dismantling the guy. And I realized, like, the Tucker Max who he puts out is not the Tucker Max. In real life, he's like not really athletic. He isn't that much of a womanizer. He doesn't have much of a fucking dick.
You seen his dick?
Well, let me put it this way. He is one of the most arrogant, deluded people on the planet, and he says his dick is average. So do the math on that.
It's probably small, yeah.
Yeah. And he just, and you kind of go, oh, he's not as cool as I'd wanted him to be. Like, I wanted him to be that guy that you'd follow into battle.
Right.
And then on the tour bus, because I'm on that bus for a month, you realize, oh, this guy is not that guy. Not only is he not good to the people who work for him, because he was shitty to all these, like, young kids. He treated them like fucking garbage. You know how you guys play sports, obviously.
Yeah.
You played football, Dan?
Jiu-jitsu
I play
guy, too.
but also don't talk much more about him treating his staff like shit, because I thrash Austin if he makes so much as one mistake.
And
on
we
the
also
editing cost.
keep him extremely safe
Yeah,
from all. We're
don't
good.
get
Yeah.
into his head that kind of behavior is bad from an up above. I don't want him to hear that.
Oh, shut up, dude. Austin
I mean, it is part of the game. But you
part of
know,
the
you
game.
play sports. Like, there's a
dude's
guy who, like,
jiu-jitsu guy, man. Like you guys should talk.
yeah,
about
you
that.
got those long ass legs.
You guys
I can
got
see
to
that.
roll. Yeah, you guys got to roll.
Purple belt,
sometime.
baby.
Are you still training?
I haven't trained since 2017 hard. But I'm really
fucks
curious about this.
people up, though.
I want to hear about this, Bill. So what was he doing to these young kids working for him, these young staffers?
He was saying that they were all alt-right, which is inappropriate. And I'm kidding. He,
You had me there.
It took me a second.
He had him.
I tell you what, look, I also have like a weird like little brother fetish, I have to admit, because I've had 2 older brothers who were like amazing to me, and I never had a little brother. So whenever someone's like Leon, I'm like, dude, I want to help you. I want to I always like that. So I was never.
You probably
the guy.
wouldn't like how I
have that
threw
too.
Austin's Yu-Gi-Oh cards across the room earlier.
But they're Yu-Gi-Oh cards, so fuck that.
Yeah, seriously, dude.
That's right, Austin.
So he just is one of those guys who just is likes to haze. He likes to haze all the young guys constantly, and he never let up. And he was convincing these guys that Rudius Media was going to be so big that they all needed to quit their jobs and leave their hometown of Columbus, Ohio, whatever bullshit city they're from, and like move to LA to be part of the Rudius Media empire.
And that was Tucker's empire that he was starting up?
Yeah.
Or that he wanted to expand
He wanted
into
to
an
have,
empire?
He said he was going to be like the white Tyler Perry, and he said this was going to be the highest grossing R-rated comedy of all time. And I had seen the film by this point, and I was going like, what the fuck?
And
so I went back to the editing bay with all these fucking nerds who were there, and I said, guys, don't leave your girlfriends. Don't leave your whole town. This movie is not going to do that well. Yeah. It's probably going to make 5 million, 10 million at most. But his idea is going to go over 100 million, 200 million. It's like, it's diluted.
I saw, this is interesting. Somebody pulled up old posts of his from his website message board where I saw him talking about that kind of thing. He was talking about buying a private plane.
Oh, yeah.
How it was going to gross as much as the movie Juno, which had just come out and done 100 million,
Yeah.
an indie out of nowhere hit. And the movie, it was unwatchable almost.
Yeah. And I was actually involved with helping write the movie. Thanks. No, but the first draft.
No wonder
was
you
like,
only got $3,000 to punch up Jamie Kennedy's shit.
but I'm telling you what happened. The first version was like pretty good. It was about this story in Austin where they go to the bachelor party. He shits his pants. Sling Blade fucks a stripper. The other guy gets arrested, which is apparently a true story. That happened in one night.
Yeah.
And then they go back home together, a fucking wedding. It was a lark. It was like an 80-minute movie. I'm like, that's great. No one's having any heart of darkness, no journey through the fucking emotional jungle of their soul.
Yeah.
They just fucking have a lark and they go home.
Yeah.
Perfect. Tucker Max.
Yeah.
Second draft, I worked on that. Even better. Oh, this is going to be really good. Then they gave me the third draft, and I was like, what the fuck did you just... Niels Parker, who is Tucker's like right-hand man, I go, Niels, what the fuck did you just do? You just ruined this movie. Because all of a sudden it became about Tucker's journey to becoming a better person, how he had to be a better friend to his buddy and blah, blah, blah. I'm like, no one cares about Tucker's fucking emotional journey. It's not... I'm not going to buy it, number one. And number two, like, who fucking cares? So then they also added that he had... The whole thing was predicated on him having to have sex with this midget stripper in Austin, which goes from being about a dude, like a frat dude who likes to fucking get drunk and have a good time, to being like a weird fetishist guy who's obsessed with fucking a midget, which just seems like a really weird take on this story that you want to be. It's like if you have a movie where your lead character has explosive diarrhea, like no one's going to like that guy.
No.
We all have explosive diarrhea every once in a while, but like if that's the guy, the lead actor, like we're not going to fucking like him.
Right.
Unless it's like Dumb and Dumber. You know?
Exactly.
So, I just didn't understand the path they chose with that. And they said, well, one of the writers for Family Guy. I'm like, well, that's your first fucking mistake. Family Guy, there's no goddamn plot. What the fuck do they know about character development? So the final version they put out there, I knew it wasn't that good. And by the end of the 30 days, like Tucker had brainwashed everyone, even me, to the point of thinking, wait, maybe it is a good movie. Maybe it is going to be a hit. So for a second, I was like, this could be a big deal, because every #1 New York Times bestselling book at that point almost had been a huge hit. Like Marley and Me was one. I can't name them all.
Life of Pi.
Life of Pi. Like all of them became huge. And this is another one. Like it has a huge opportunity. And I think Tucker was such a friggin' megalomaniac. He couldn't let the director do his job. He couldn't let Matt Zucchi do his job. And he just like, he was so convinced of his Elon Musk genius and creative genius that like nobody could negotiate around him. And he just made this bad film, and he couldn't even admit, even when the film bombed, which I knew it would. He kept, well, word of mouth is going. Word of mouth. I'm like,
DVD sales.
yeah.
Those are something he wrote about on his website after, because I followed him for a long time, and right after the movie bombed, he was in disbelief, in shock, in depression. 2 years afterwards, he's talking about how it's found a market in DVD and how it's become successful and it's recouped all this money. Only about 2 years ago on TuckerMax.me, his personal blog, did he admit and open up and be honest about the night he realized the movie was a failure and how that was the lowest point in his life. And it had some message about managing expectations. What I'm saying is, yeah, he deceived even himself for years after the failure of that movie.
Now, I'd like to think, I know that has a whole different game now. Now he's all in kombucha and healthy living.
And he deleted his website.
Yeah.
He's distancing himself, it seems, from the past.
All my Man on the Street, I had like 20 videos of Man on the Street that were on the Hope They Serve Beer in Hell website. They're all gone now.
They're not on YouTube anymore?
No, my compilation is
Good.
that I put together, but that's
good.
it. Everything else has been removed. So now he's married with a kid, and he's quote unquote a changed man after Freudian analysis and stuff. But I also don't fucking buy it.
He's been doing Molly therapy, where he takes Molly or ecstasy in a medical setting, well, a pseudo medical setting, I suppose. And I recently found some female journalist went over to his house in Austin to interview him, and it's a hatchet piece. The same shit's going on. All of his answers are just redirecting shit. She asks about the potential for him to have gotten Me Too'd based on some of his past actions. And he's taking the road, what did I do that was so bad? I didn't do anything. I'm totally different than all these other guys. There's a scene in the first book, I Hope They Serve Beer in Hell, where a girl is doing a keg stand at the University of Florida or something. Tucker runs up out of the wings and punches her in the vagina.
Jesus.
Whoa.
He hauls off and punches her in the cooch.
Yeah,
And also, he has
that's,
a scene which is whether it's true or not, which is a big controversy of the book, where he's having sex with this girl, and then he has his friend filming from the closet without her consent. That's obviously illegal
The
too.
famous anal sex story.
That apparently never happened, that he claims did. And
He got called out on Opie and Anthony for that.
I remember that.
It was a great episode of Opie and Anthony.
It is a great chapter of the book, because basically he's having anal sex with this girl, and she starts having diarrhea.
Jesus.
That's the theme of the podcast, diarrhea. And then then Tucker started puking. She started puking, and then the guy in the closet started puking from smelling it, and he like fell out of the closet with his thing, and she like ran out of the thing.
Oh my God.
And everyone wanted Tucker to corroborate it. He goes, well, the tape, it was an old school tape, it was magnetic, it got destroyed by the vomit. And you're like,
Yeah.
Well, what about this girl? I can't get in touch with her, bro.
Yeah.
What about the guy? Well, I can't get in touch with him either. It's like, okay.
And on Opie and Anthony, they were doing shit. They cut his headphones off, and they cut out his mic, and he was like, guys, I can't hear anything. Technical malfunction. And Anthony, the host, is muttering into the mic, so Tucker can't hear it across the room. Fucking liar.
No.
You're a fucking phony. You're a lying, lispy piece of shit. And eventually they keep fucking with him until Tucker catches on, and he walks out of the room and flips everybody off. And I think Opie threw the book at him. As he left.
I remember that. Yeah.
One thing I will say about that, though, is I also reread Assholes Finish First, which is the more introspective.
I'm in that, by the way. I don't know if you remember it, but he mentions me a couple times. Yeah.
What are you doing in that book?
There's just because he covered some of the tour in the book. Some things happened in the tour. Yeah.
I just recently reread the post-fame stories where he's talking about the groupie girls who come over and fuck. And a lot of that stuff still, from like a psychological standpoint, totally holds up.
Sure.
And it makes sense. Now at 30, it actually has value to me, which when I was a 22-year-old shithead kid, I didn't understand what he was talking about. Jealousy, relationships, girlfriend. But I think from reading that, I have to take his stories a little more seriously, because clearly this guy isn't some antisocial doofus.
Yeah.
This guy is smart and is socially adept, and that made me believe him a little more just thumbing through that book recently.
Well, I will say this about that, because he would put verbatim all these conversations he had at parties. That's why I was like Good Will Hunting, because he'd get an argument and then he would do like 3 perfectly constructed paragraphs of roasting this girl drunk at a fucking party. And you're like, this guy's a fucking genius.
With razor sharp jokes thrown in. They're supposed to all be nonfiction. The representatives have, true to the word, happened at these various
and he
parties.
says it's because he would record himself when we went out. Mm-hmm. After having hung out with Tucker and gone out with Tucker, like, first of all, he already has like a lisp.
Yeah.
And when he's drunk, he's just like this guy. He's like, hey, guys, let's go over here. He sounds like Beavis, or Butthead, whatever.
Like Beavis.
So I was going like, wait, where's the fucking Will Hunting? Like, how about them apples? Like, where's that guy? I want to see the guy firing a million miles an hour. And it just wasn't there. I was like, oh, this is fucking bullshit. He never, because if he had recorded himself, why wouldn't he ever post that shit? Mm-hmm. He never recorded himself. It was just his way of saying, here's how I can like pretend I said all this shit, you know? So, and also Assholes finished first because I was there for a lot of it. It didn't happen. I mean, all that shit he was talking about, I was like, that's not really what went
How it
down,
went
bro.
down. And also I noticed, first of all, the cover of I Hope They Serve Beer in Hell is ripped directly from Dave Attell's Skanks for the Memory album cover.
Really?
Which is Dave Attell drunk in a bar, some girls next to him, and one of the girls' face is blocked out saying, your face here.
Really?
Yes. And that's now become one of my favorite comedy albums of all time. It's incredible.
Classic, yeah.
That Dave Attell album. And a lot of the jokes are Dave Attellian to the point where he's basically changing one word of the punchline or the premise.
Yeah.
Also, he loved Howard Stern. He mentions Howard Stern a lot. A lot of the bits are ripped right from Stern, or the attitude is totally Stern. So I think it's an amalgam of Stern's attitude, Dave Attell's jokes, and somebody else he liked at the time, all coming together on the page to make this fantasy character.
Yeah, exactly. Like I said, Tucker Max a person, Tucker Max persona are two completely different people. Because Tucker Max is not like, I mean, I don't want to say this to sound self-aggrandizing, but people knew him like, Tucker Max wants to be you, Bill. That's who he wants to be. He wants to be a guy who can fuck and can fight.
Yeah,
and he's just not that guy. And also, when he's, like I said, when he's drunk, he's not the most articulate, eloquent guy on the fucking planet at all. Mm-hmm. So, but he lied, like the Duke thing where he said the cops were tasering people, and they were all doing like Smeagol jokes, like, "Oh my precious, what are you doing?" Like that happened before the movie came out. Mm-hmm. No one was doing "Oh my precious" jokes before Lord of the Rings came out.
Yeah, nobody.
And
Was.
So everything was kind of like a lie. A lot of it was sort of. So I kind of like, but that's also fine. Like no one's writing a memoir that's 100% true. It's all kind of
Of course. Yeah.
So I wish he was more honest about that. You know,
The only people I think recently I've been wishing I had the power on microphone or in performance of a guy like Louis C.K. or Adam Carolla. Those guys, when you prop them up in front of a mic on a podcast or radio show, they are flawless, speak without a stutter, a like. Anybody talks shit, they immediately have a rebuttal that stings twice as bad.
Right.
Those guys are fucking vicious. But me, when I'm out there filming in the field, I stutter. I say stupid shit I make a joke that ends up being 75% racist and 5% funny and whatever percent something else, and that gets cut immediately. Yeah. Nobody is that character except for guys like I've seen, like Adam Carolla and Louis C.K., who are radio wizards. Jimmy Norton's really fucking good too.
Yeah, and they've been doing it for so long
Yeah.
too. They have so
Forever.
much experience with it. Yeah, exactly.
You know, you have a very famous man that was very interesting that also did jiu-jitsu that follows you, and I believe you had a relationship with Anthony Bourdain.
Physical one?
Oh, yeah, physical.
It
Anthony
was
Bourdain.
kind of physical. In a way,
Yeah, they would
because of
roll.
jiu-jitsu. Yeah.
Anthony Bourdain, man, one of the
yeah,
more
that was
interesting
crazy.
cats. Yeah.
Anthony Bourdain is one of those guys that I don't know what you know, but I never instinctively I just didn't like him because he was like this old dude that every chick I know wanted to fuck.
Fuck yeah, everyone wants.
And he
like
was
Leo.
a chef, and I'm like, fuck chefs. You're a chef. Go eat a dick, you know. You're a chef.
Yeah.
And he has earrings and little spiky hair and his little fucking like True Religion jeans. I was like, ugh, you dummy.
Go taste some sauce, faggot.
Yeah, I was like, oh, this fucking overgrown wearing his Converse. And I was like, I wanted to fucking hate him, and I get there in jiu-jitsu. And first of all, he was tough as fucking nails.
Wow.
I'd roll with him. I'm like, Jesus Christ, dude. He was like tough. I mean, I'd choke the fuck out of him. But still, he was like, but he was like 58 years old
Right,
at
he's
the time.
old. Yeah.
And then afterwards, he would just like hang out with us in the back, and you could just talk to him about anything, and just be like, I would just talk and hang out with him. He was always fucking funny, always cracking jokes, always super chill. And then I auditioned for Master of None, Aziz Ansari's series on Netflix. I used to be there, and there was a character about Aziz became friends with this chef who he wanted to hate, was this total douche, but he kept being amazed at how cool this fucking chef was. And I was like, so I see Anthony, I go, dude, is it Aziz just wrote the script? Is this about you? And he goes, oh yeah, me and Aziz are friends. I'm like, of course, because he was the guy you wanted to hate.
Yeah.
But he was so humble and so mellow and so cool that everyone fucking loved him. So then he became kind of a friend. He followed me on Instagram, which is weird because after he passed, you know, he only followed a few hundred people on Instagram and had like 3.5 million followers.
Right.
All these like chefs and foodies started following me, and I'm going like, I'm just showing my ass and saying dumb dick jokes. I don't know what
Dick
you're doing
jokes on
following me.
Instagram. Damn,
But yeah,
man.
he was fucking. I want to be when I'm 60. I want to kind of be that like man child who's also like fucking cool. People
Yeah,
still
me
want to
too.
fuck.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
I think we could
Leo's
all only
fantasy,
hope. Yeah, we can only hope to be that guy.
Austin, I don't mean to interrupt you here, Bill. What are you fucking doing right now? We have a guest in. He's telling stories about famous men, and his eyes have been glued to his monitor over there. What's going on? What's so important?
Whenever y'all switch who's talking, I have to click to change.
Bill,
the
is that what
camera.
he's doing? Does it look like work stuff up on that
Well,
computer
his
screen?
pants are zipped up, so he's not Jeffrey Tubing in it.
Jeffrey
You
Tubin.
hear about that guy jerking off during a Zoom
I
call?
heard
dude?
about
Yeah,
that.
That's
Yes.
so good.
But recently, Austin, a fan sent us a screenshot of his online gaming report.
Oh, yeah.
This motherfucker had been playing some BS called RuneScape for 24 straight hours.
That's
24/7.
just
Whoa.
if I leave the tab.
Sure it
open on
is.
my
It's a young-
computer.
Sure it
Look,
is.
we need your big brother ability for this kid. He's 20 years old. He lives. Well, I visited his home, which was his mom and dad are just a classic. It's a very interesting household. They're very hilarious. But
Classic what? Classic.
well, they're like I would say hippies.
Hippies.
Yeah, they're very much hippies.
hippies have an alt-right child.
Yeah, exactly. They're conservative hippies. Would conservative hippies be? That's a good way
that's
to.
pretty accurate.
That's like
conservative.
family ties. They were hippies,
Yeah.
and then they needed a job, so like, okay, I'm not gonna be a hippie anymore.
Yeah, but they were quite interesting. But anyway, you could big brother this guy a little bit.
But
give him some advice.
Seriously, Austin, the last time you played RuneScape, the last couple of sessions, how many hours are you logging?
3. Maybe
I don't
4.
believe that. Bill, he comes in here half the time. He can barely open his eyes. The other week, I don't want you to run out of here after I confess this. We had a member of our crew accused of fornicating with 16-year-olds. We dispelled it. We got to the bottom of it.
It wasn't me. Bill Dawes wrote me an amazing when I got Me Too'd. He wrote me like an essay to post. I never posted it because I didn't want to bring more attention to it. I kind of wanted it to die, but it was.
It would have cost you $2,000 too. That's why he didn't. Post
No,
it.
he's a good man. He did it for free, and he also wrote some of probably my most popular tweets of all time. Right in the heyday of Bachelor fame.
Did you pay him for that?
No, he did it for free. He's a good guy.
Bill.
I want him to hook me up with his sister, which has been
Yeah.
like a decade
I can
long
help you with
project.
that.
Shut the fuck.
That's
He
a running
always
joke
liked-
that
he
I
always
always
he always
fuck his
liked my
sister.
younger sister. Yeah.
She followed me on
I think
Instagram.
I think I liked your younger sister before we became friends.
Yeah.
Because I would invite her to shows, and then you were there, and I found out that you were the brother. I'm like, oh man, I can't hit on this girl anymore.
Yeah, I'd just come by, man. Yeah, that was great, man. I always saw you guys. A lot of great comedians back then, man. It came up, including Dalia. When you guys were always on the same show.
But Bill, that was a serious episode. Clearly,
Yeah, it was.
Jerry Epstein. I guess maybe we should start referring
We
to him.
should call Jerry Epstein.
Is this guy? Is he no longer working with you guys? Or
Oh, we promoted him.
Yeah.
No. It was not true. Bill.
It wasn't true,
A psycho
yeah.
accused him. But we
Yeah.
were calling Jerry Epstein, giving him an opportunity to defend himself. This guy rings up this doofus named Danny whatever. What's his name?
Danny Burke.
Danny
Yeah.
Burke. We called him like 16 shows ago,
Yeah.
and somehow Austin's wires are so crossed from 3 hours without sleep and a
Yeah.
bunch of RuneScape that we get the wrong guy on the phone, and that's just last week's mistake.
Yeah, there's a few other ones. One time he left about, I don't know, 3 minutes of silence while Danny was peeing and his mic was on. So we just hear peeing in the toilet. And it was on a podcast. And now it's on there forever. No way to edit it.
It's edited out.
Oh, nice.
You can edit on YouTube.
That was a
after
private
the fact.
moment.
Nice.
It was completely private. You think I want people hearing me urinate?
What if he had farted or something?
I think it provided a pretty interesting discussion in the comments.
Yeah, well,
Dude, it's bullshit. I'm
Some
trying.
fucking
Robert Greene in
dickheads.
the 48 Laws of Power, he talks about casting a mystical veil over yourself. You got to cast a mystical veil and not let people think that you're a person like them.
Yeah.
When they hear my urine hitting the water, Austin, it humanizes me.
Yeah, they know your stream. They know everything.
It's not
Your
good.
stream-
If I
I
would have
know
made the
everything.
same mistake with Kim Jong Un, I'd lose my head.
Oh, absolutely. He would have killed you. He would have shot you.
Because he doesn't use the restroom.
They didn't have one case of coronavirus.
What
in
I'm
North
saying,
Korea.
Bill, is a little bit of corporal punishment isn't always the wrong move.
Yeah.
Oh, I agree. Believe me.
He did make me take a picture of my erect penis over this week, which
Yeah.
I have.
Sexual harassment
now.
is
Let me see
rampant
it.
amongst the crew.
Let me see it.
By the way, that's a loose definition of the word "make." He didn't make you.
Yeah, exactly.
He didn't tie you up.
Well, you don't know
Thank
that.
you.
Bill.
See,
He suggested.
He
strongly
suggested it.
suggested.
Yeah.
If you want to keep your job,
right.
take a picture
Take
of
a
your
picture of your penis.
Like a grown-up.
Because
Do you have a ruler next to it?
to fill you in, I'm not going to look at it until I fill Bill in here.
you know he's
Yeah,
so
yeah.
skinny. I imagine that could actually be pretty impressive.
Yeah, proportionally, he doesn't have to be that long for it to.
Yeah, because his mom watches this show.
Also,
his mom does watch
He's
the show.
too sleep deprived to remember to edit it out, too.
His mom
Let me take
definitely
a look at
watches
this.
the show. She let me know she watches.
Impressive?
Let me see here. Okay, the 2 on the ruler starts suspiciously early.
There's no 1 on the ruler.
What I'm
that's
getting
why.
at is it looks like he took a pair of scissors and went snip, snip, snip right at the 1 line. Look at this, Leo. Doesn't it look like 2 is about 1 inch? Where it should say 1, it says 2.
I was very careful. I took the
Pass this
ruler
around.
and slid it down the side of my
look.
dick until I felt it. Get to
He's
the
been
bottom
claiming he
of
has
my
an
dick,
8-inch penis for a
and then
long
I took the
time.
picture. My back camera on my phone doesn't work, so I had to flip my camera around selfie style. It was honestly a big ordeal. It took me maybe 2 hours to take that picture.
Well, first of all, that says 7. You embedded it into your thigh a
Yes.
little bit.
Yeah.
I think
A
you're
little
rocking-
bit, a lot.
I think you're rocking a nice 6
you could
plus
round
inch
down.
penis.
6-inch penis.
You could round down to a 7 flat, but that's like 7.5 with whatever bullshit you're talking about.
No,
No.
Bill is spot on. It looks like you're putting about 30 pounds of pressure into your pubic bone.
It's not. I knew you were gonna say that too because
Nothing wrong with a good 6.25
There's
inch
nothing
penis,
wrong
bro.
with that. That's all girls need, man.
Dude,
that's not what it is.
Vaginas
though.
aren't
Yes, it
that
is.
deep.
I brought-
Vaginas
even-
aren't that deep.
He even used
The lady doth protest too much, methinks.
Yeah.
Is this the ruler? How's that? How's that, Austin? I'll keep throwing shit
Austin,
around all day.
why do you care what Danny thinks about the size of your penis?
Thank
size of
you.
My penis is the only thing that matters in my life. It's the only thing that matters to me.
It's the only thing.
Austin.
Shit.
Providing a great example for your younger brother.
Bill, so because I'm a
Speaking of segues,
segue, yeah. we have a thing in the crew. Like, eventually, you are going to do a video with us. We still had that. We had that one idea that you were going to go up to girls and with serial killer lines or something, right?
Yeah,
What was it?
it was a while ago, and to be honest, that concept was pretty hasty because we were on the road in New York. But yeah, there's something to be said for. We've done it with a couple different videos. The giving students iPhones to do blackface. We did it in Santa Barbara, picking girls up while high. It was smart, Bill. It wasn't as awful as it sounds.
Yeah,
But it's a lot of fun to make a video into a game where we put my long lens on that Canon you see right there. We set up a tripod. We give each other horrendous improvised based challenges to go up and perform on women. One we did is we all wrote down very offensive phrases on slips of paper, put them in a hat, took a couple hits off a joint, drew a random phrase, and then you got to go say it to a girl and then try to get her number after.
Tell her the line that you had to say to the. You went first.
Oh yeah,
The mason jar in your up your
I'm
ass.
gonna stick a mason jar up my asshole. But even better, Bill, is last week we went to Palm Springs and we had to pick up girls with fake Me Too accusations.
I just used my real Me Too. You need a big.
wait, what do you
dick.
mean?
Like,
I showed her the article where it said I wrote that comment 7 years ago on Instagram. You need a big dick. You need my big dick. So I showed it to a couple of women. Honestly, great. It worked well.
We printed it up for him.
Yeah.
We printed up the
These
sheet of
women
paper.
were laughing, and nobody took it too seriously. But yeah, there was some really
I mean,
funny.
the idea that you can get Me Too'd for saying to a woman, "You need my big dick." Like, how far down the fucking road are we going to go with it?
Exactly.
Like, that's just like a little bit inelegant flirting on your part. You know what I mean?
Inelegant flirting is exactly what I like that. But we had fake Me Too accusations for guys, which was really funny. My favorite was one of our guys was a minor league baseball player who had raped the mascot, and he had the article up, and he had to go pick up girls with that.
It's a really silly looking dinosaur, so it made it funny.
That was a real thing?
Yeah, he didn't really do that, but he had to show that article to a woman and try to pick her up and try to get her number. But yeah, so that was one.
Yeah, I love doing. When I was doing I Hope This Ever Burned in Hell, I would be out with the nerds, and they had no game, so I'd come up to a woman and be like, "Look," I'd bring them up. "Look, this guy, he's in a bad place. His last 4 pregnant girlfriends died in horrible sailing accidents. His last one actually fell down a flight of stairs, so he needs some like lifting up. Can you make him feel better?" And
It's a sob story.
I'd walk away. And
There it is, man.
They would end up closing because the girl would be
so
like, "What
funny.
the fuck did he say?" She's like,
Yeah.
"That guy's a dick. I'm sorry. My name's Chris."
Right, yeah, that's all you need. sometimes,
Leo's
you know?
philosophy, he's got 2 core tenets of his how to get pussy thing.
Mm-hmm.
Number 1 is remind her that life is finite.
Yes.
The YOLO move. And then number 2, tell a sob story.
And tell a sob story.
So-
those have been very effective. And yeah,
Like, what sob story?
I usually do like my father doesn't love me. That's
Yeah.
usually mine. Or
Which is just a reimagining of
Yeah.
I got in a sailing accident while pregnant. Or my girlfriend did.
yeah, things like that. I mean, you don't make it up, or just like the idea that everything is gonna be dust. Just like a kind of a dark
But
kind
let me
of.
just say this, Leo. If a girl wants to fuck you, she probably wants to fuck you at first blush.
Maybe,
So you actually
yeah.
probably don't need to work as hard as you think you need to work to get laid. They're
That's
probably
true.
like, all right, he'll keep saying this bullshit about how life is fine, and we get to fuck.
Yeah, maybe. That's true. That's
Leo's the
true.
ultimate wingman, though.
I am a good wingman. Yeah.
It is a
Have you gotten this guy laid?
Austin, he does well for himself. He's on the apps.
He
He's-
fucked
You did get me laid.
I did get him laid. Yes.
you got Austin laid.
Well,
No.
he stopped me when we were leaving the podcast and said, "You look good. Let me take your picture." I posted that picture
that's
on
right.
Instagram, and that's how I fucked that girl that called into the podcast.
Yeah, that's not getting laid. And also, that girl was a dumpster fire. He fucked this girl.
She was
but
hot though. She was
hot
hot.
lesbian.
Yeah.
She's in rehab now, right?
She was in like a weekend program for like 2 days.
Yeah.
He still likes her.
She probably needs to go.
But you're like, I mean, rehab? It's like mini rehab.
The point is, commenting on the variety of woman this is, not her specific treatment regimen.
I imagine
okay?
this is a good time for you to get laid because it's Halloween. Children of the Corn is out in the news. So,
Children of the Corn.
I haven't even seen that movie. Does he look like a child of the corn?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
It does. For me, because I'm a thespian, nobody else really understands, I guess, like being in acting class and being immersed in that. So I guess really the most amazing thing you do as an actor is be on stage on Broadway. What was that like? And were there groupies? Well, I mean, you know what I mean? Like, are you hanging out with the elite? I always imagined it being like,
So
like
Bell
it's a bunch of.
was on Broadway. Are we saying?
Yes, he was on
Okay,
Broadway.
I didn't
yeah.
know that.
I'm sorry. Yeah, I said
problem.
at the beginning when I was
3
talking about
different
his accolade.
shows, but who's counting, guys?
Who's counting? That's a fucking pretty sick thing. I mean, not a lot of people are on Broadway. That's just the truth, man.
Yes, So let me just say about Broadway. So the first show I did was a flop. Second show was pretty good. Tommy Kail directed it. Tommy Kail directed Hamilton.
Nice, dude.
He's like the smartest person. Like he's one of those guys.
Hamilton's one of the biggest theatrical productions of all time. You've heard of it, right?
You guys filled me in on it. I had no
yeah.
idea what
You
it
didn't
was.
know? Well,
They started playing for it for me one day. I was like, "What? These are black people? they ran the
Yeah.
government in the 1700s?" I was real confused, but
Yeah, there's a whole thing behind that. But yeah,
yeah. So and it was called Lombardi. It was about Vince Lombardi and basically
Right.
the birth of the NFL. Dan Laurie and Judith Light, and
shit,
Chris
yeah.
Sullivan from This Is Us, and Rob Riley from Dynasty, and everyone else is way more successful than me. Anyway, so it was like a hit because it was the same year the Packers won the Super Bowl and the Packers would all come. We performed on Lambeau Field, scenes from the play. But in terms of groupies, like Broadway theater is basically like older Jewish women
Right.
from Long Island and gay dudes, right? So you're not going to get groupies if you're in a play about football.
Oh yeah.
The way you get groupies is if you're in Cats and you're wearing a skin tight outfit and you have
Yeah.
a bunch of gay guys like, I'm going to fuck Rum Tum Tigger. And then some women with cobwebs or JJ who's like, oh my God, I just got grinded on by Mr. Mistopheles or whatever the fuck it is. So there is no real groupie
Yeah.
thing, at least from my end. I'm sure there is, but at the end of the day, like Broadway, it's the fucking lowest of the totem pole. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like no one's like, oh, I fucked a Broadway actor.
Yeah.
It's like you fucked a movie star, you fucked a rock star, you fucked a movie star, and maybe a comic who does theaters.
yeah.
A comic who does theaters, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good hierarchy there. But it's, yeah, interesting. Is it fulfilling though? I mean, I always just like I did a lot of theater in college, you know, and I always thought like, damn, making it to Broadway is probably like a fucking amazing thing. Like I can't imagine how awesome that must feel. Like, is it fulfilling as an actor?
Yeah, I mean the points where it was getting a lot of attention and there was an energy around it and people were coming and you were sitting there with a packed house. Like there was one show where the entire Miami Dolphins came to the show. It was in the round. So, which is hilarious about that. First of all, theaters are all made in like the 1910s or whatever the fuck. So the seats are like this.
Yeah.
So when the Dolphins came in, they thought it was like a movie theater. So they just literally like filled
Started
in the
talking?
first. They just they
Because
shut
they're
up.
black.
You fucking dick, dude.
It's a multiracial team. So they basically filled in.
Sorry, excluding the kicker.
Excluding the kicker.
That's my joke. So they basically filled in the first 2 or 3 rows.
Yeah.
They didn't look at there wasn't a seat number.
They
They was
just
like, oh, let's
filled
go.
in.
And they just sat down and all these like,
That's funny.
excuse me, never mind.
Oh
and so
my
like the
God.
first 2 rows were all the Miami Dolphins who were not supposed to be sitting there,
That's
but all
so
the like
funny.
nerdy theater people were like, okay. So when you're in that space, you see all the energy going. It's kind of cool. You just try to take some time to go, okay, this is finite. It's not going to last forever. Let me just kind of like look around and breathe and say this is kind of fucking cool. But ultimately, like, you know, it was also one of the worst periods of my life. So who the fuck knows?
Why is that?
I was going through like a terrible breakup with a woman I thought was going to marry, and so there were probably about 2 months of that where I literally was on autopilot, where I was just like about saying my lines. I had no idea where the fuck I was.
Sucks.
Yeah.
Where you couldn't even enjoy it that
Yeah.
great time. Do you, right now, would you much rather book, say, a co-starring role on a sitcom or on a drama versus have success on Broadway? Because I was thinking, we were talking about the hierarchy of pussy, and I think there's a hierarchy of roles where the input and the output are at the optimum ratio, where you can do this relatively easily and get a lot of money and recognition for it.
Yeah.
At the bottom of that list is probably writing a Hollywood screenplay, which takes for fucking ever, and the chances are you're going to get zero recognition and no money for it.
Yeah.
The top of that list is probably being a TikToker, where you shake your 16-year-old ass, or if you're Austin, you pull out your 6-inch wee-wee, and you've got 1 million followers all of a sudden.
Yeah.
That's like the easiest input to output ratio.
Yeah.
Right? Would you say that booking a TV show is better than Broadway?
Absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
I used to think that when I came out of school, because I went to NYU grad school for acting, which is sort of like NYU and Juilliard were sort of the corollaries for each other. And I was like smoking and had my collar up and my turtleneck in the rain, like James
Marlon
Dean.
Brando,
like, man,
yeah.
I just want to be John Malkovich or Marlon Brando and like have a gravelly voice and cry and scream and pucker my asshole. And that works for a while. And you feel good like being the guy with a Manhattan backpack walking around to your unpaid theater gig.
Yeah, and you can always blame your failure on your artistic ideals.
Oh, and artistic integrity is a great excuse for failing.
Yeah.
So that was cool for a while, and then you get older, you're just like, you see all these people, quote unquote, selling out. Like people go to LA and they're on shitty sitcoms, or they become like hosts of some TV talk show. You're like, that guy was an actor, that guy was a serious comic, and now he's on a talk show, and now you're like, oh, I get it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Why the fuck wouldn't you? Yeah, I'll do a game show. I'll do supermarket sweeps. I don't give a shit.
Yeah.
Right.
You know, because ultimately having money gives you access and power to do whatever the fuck it is you want to do.
Absolutely.
You know?
And I mean, there's a lot of things that over the years I've come to know about you, but you know, a lot of the comedians in LA say that you're one of the best comedians not to have a Netflix special. Why do you think that is?
Hold my Monster Energy drink. No. Well, whatever. I don't want to make excuses. Part of it is like, obviously I'm not good enough. And number two is that, I was always a serious actor. That was always my first thing. You know?
You've been in so many, you have so many
So
credits.
comedy to me was always like the second thing. And I love it. And then there's a point in your life where you're like, wow, I'm actually doing comedy more than I'm doing acting. But I always thought, and this is to my detriment, I always thought that acting was going to be the thing that was going to blow up my comedy career. Like if I got a good movie or a good TV show, then it'd be off to the races.
Right.
Well, when the movie doesn't really take off the way it's supposed to, and the TV show doesn't take off, then you kind of go, all right, I'm just a working class fucking comic, roll up my sleeves, and I love it and I have a good time. I also haven't networked. I'm not hanging out at the Comedy Store and hey man, can I do this? Can I do
I hate networking too. Man.
But it's fucking so important.
It's very important.
Unless you
Something
can
I can't
create
do.
like a cult of personality like Danny
Yeah,
and galvanize that type of audience. Like
Yeah, man,
you got to fucking network and hop on some coattails. That's why
Absolutely.
the fuck I'm here.
I'm hopping on some coattails. Yeah, man, we got to hop on some coattails. No, seriously, I have no doubt that if we put on just a comedy show, right, with the people in this room, including Austin and his brother, we would sell 1,000 tickets. I'm not even fucking around.
Wait, can I-
you don't think we
Austin's-
could sell?
Austin, well, I just noticed Austin's brother there. How old are you?
He's not mic'd up. Well, talk
He
to that
just
mic
turned
over there.
18.
Talking to the mic over there.
Yeah.
I just turned 18, so I can show Danny my penis.
Oh, no.
Wait, Austin, you two are brothers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How, are you literally albino, bro? 'Cause, like he is like brunette, dark, like Italian looking, and you look like a Mormon.
We always joke that my parents traded him at the beach to some Mexican family.
Can I tell you the truth? I could say in 2 words: philandering mother.
Oh God,
That's better than saying your mom's a whore.
that's true.
Well, Danny says that a lot.
He does say that. That
I
asshole.
do. I do.
Philandering is such a nice way of
I
saying
say it.
whore.
I have a big vocabulary: skank, whore,
Well,
unfaithful cunt.
She used to hang out with some
compound
bands. She
word.
used to hang out with the bands. We don't know what happened, but she hung out with Motley Crue.
Yeah, hey, that's. I'm a little disturbed that that's the first thing you say about being 18 is you get to show me your penis. Now, a little intrigued too. I want to see if it's genetic having an average sized cock.
According to him, it is.
You have an average sized dick?
Me?
Yeah.
No, I mean,
in like high school, I haven't measured my penis in forever, but like whenever I was in like 9th grade or whatever, it was at least like 7.5.
Oh my
What
god!
the hell? I've heard that before.
But I'm
everybody's got
also
heard-
taller than Austin.
He's
so.
taller than Austin. Oh, you're tall.
I would
then.
like to say Danny was right from the beginning, though. My mental perspective as to what 8 inches looks like after I pulled out the ruler, I was like, okay, this is actually a fairly long distance.
Yes,
I was
is.
thinking, okay, it's only 4 inches. 4 inches is like this big.
Yeah,
I feel you,
welcome
I
to
feel you.
Danny Mullen U. We teach the important things to these
Important
kids.
things.
What 8 inches really looks like.
I'm sure Dick is 8 inches in dog inches. Hey now. Stupid joke.
Dog inch.
What's your favorite TV credit?
Oh, Jesus.
Because you use Sex in the City at the Laugh Factory for some reason.
The funny thing about Sex and the City is that I had a very small role in that, and I'd gone in a bunch of times. I'm surprised I haven't been Me Too'd by the casting director because me and Jenny Mac had a little bit of a flirtation going on.
Oh shit,
Now she's the head of NBC casting. That's why I don't go in there anyway.
that happens.
But I'd gone in for a lot of different roles, and I was part of like the scene of people making and the producers. I knew them all, and
Right.
and I was kind of in the New York scene at the time. I was dating an agent. There are some rumors that there's 1 or 2 episodes based on me, which may or may not be true, but they may be. So, and then I finally got this one role, and I was like, fuck, I don't want to do this piece of shit role to play the blonde guy.
Jeez.
But I did it, and it was one scene, and I gotta tell you, man, it's paid dividends. I still get little checks,
Yeah.
and it's a great credit as a comic.
How much have you made as the blonde guy? Lifetime.
God, I mean, I must have made like, I mean, not that much, but probably like 25 grand, you know?
Yeah, for
Just
a
that
little one day
co-star
work.
role, yeah.
You told me once you make a good amount of money every year still on SAG residuals, right? It just comes in.
They've changed the pay rate, but yeah, sometimes you just look at a check. Like every week, I get something like $30 or whatever from something. I don't know what the fuck it is. I think I still get paid for. I hope they serve beer in hell.
Oh,
you know,
wow.
Are those jobs and are those sorts of residuals still available in the Netflix Hulu age?
No. Well, Netflix. If
Yeah.
it's a Netflix show, they don't give you residuals.
yeah,
right?
the whole streaming stuff, you don't get any residuals. This is a buyout.
Zero.
So
It's
are the
about-
people, because I take a lot of improv classes, and it seems to me the most insufferable variety of person in LA is the aspiring actor who sounds sort of like you when you were in New York, or thinking they were John Malkovich with their book of 1800s English poetry, and they're left off. I get a lot of those types, and it seems to me that their road now has never been more difficult. I'm not going to do my own thing. I'm not entrepreneurial. I'm going to work as a server and go to acting classes and try to get some director to choose me and put me in a hit. Is that still a feasible way to go about things? Or is starting a podcast, hustling hard on your own to put out content on the internet, is that definitely the better move?
I think what you're doing, Danny, is the move. I think
move,
now,
yeah.
particularly now, more than ever, content is king.
Yeah.
You just have to create your own content. People aren't looking to develop a star. They're looking to cherry pick a star that's already made or in the making right now.
Those TikTok stars like Charlie D'Amelio or whatever, she's already been cast in the new Spider-Man movie. And
Yeah,
stuff
she's
like that.
they're swinging over to Hollywood really easily. Yeah, she's got 93 million
And
followers.
why the
so-
fuck wouldn't they? You think about it.
Yeah.
You take that girl. I don't even know what she looks like, but you can grab her or any other blonde floozy from Southern California and put them both in the same picture. The one, yeah, guys are going to masturbate to, the anonymous one. But when you bring in Charlie D, whatever the fuck, she's bringing with her 90 billion fans,
Yeah.
at least 5% of whom are going to go to that film.
Gonna go to
Yeah.
the theater.
Which translates to like $300,000 in box office.
Absolutely.
It's a simple move. David Dobrik now has some mindless hosting show for a dodgeball game.
Right.
Like, I'm sure they paid him big fucking bucks.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And who else are they going to pick? There was some kid I met who first came to LA, and I'm sure he's doing nothing with his life now, but he's like, yeah, I'm hoping to get like a hosting gig. I want to be like a fucking host. Who do you think got the job? Him or David Dobrik? Do you think it came down?
Absolutely.
Yeah, exactly.
That's the move. That's why.
And also another thing now you got to keep in mind that because film has changed from film to digital, the shooting ratio is like 10-1 now. It used to be like 3 or 4-1.
What does that mean?
It means that what you put on the film and what you shoot, the ratio, right? So when you're shooting on a digital format like this or whatever the fuck it is, you can just shoot forever and then just edit it as you go by. You discard it. If you have film, you got to be a lot more precious. There's less time. There's more editing involved, so you can't shoot as much.
Fewer takes.
So yeah, so actors had to be better when you were shooting with film because you had fewer takes.
Right.
Now you can have the shittiest actor on the planet, like someone like Chuck Liddell, who is literally the worst fucking actor who ever lived. I mean, Chuck Liddell is like, I know people who've worked with him. They're like, the guy is literally dumb as a bag of hammers. He's barely sentient. His
got
prefrontal
CTA,
cortex is like,
CTE,
yeah, but he's still in movies and getting cast in movies. And he's
Absolutely.
like, hey man, what are you gonna do? And like, it apparently takes him like 15 fucking takes to say one fucking line, but it doesn't matter. And there are a lot of people like that who are insufferable. I mean, Chris Tucker is another example who's hilarious to me, but everyone who works with him, like, dude, it takes like 5 hours to get him to say one fucking line.
Wow.
So you can dupe people into thinking that a non-actor is an actor on film.
Yeah.
It's the easiest thing in the world. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah. We do it all the time because we have scripted bits in our videos.
Yeah.
I gotta make cameraman Nico after like 12 beers do lines in our various, and sometimes they come out pretty good
They
because you
do.
get so many takes.
Yeah, it's Wizard of Oz. It's great.
We did a Wizard of Oz video where instead of Dorothy from Kansas, we had Nico from Orange County, and instead of ruby red slippers, he wore a ruby red MAGA hat
Oh my god!
and dressed in drag. It was,
drag. Yeah,
it was
we went.
Oh, I
around.
like that.
Yeah.
MAGA hat with
With
drag.
drag. We did
I
that
like
twice,
That's
yeah.
cool.
It's people don't know what to think.
Of course.
They're
Yeah.
like, is it an ironic statement? Is it like a subtle rebellion against Trump? What's he doing here?
We did it in the South. We were in Virginia, right?
Virginia South.
And did you grow up in Virginia?
Mm-hmm.
And I like his. You have a good joke about Virginia, but it was not one even ounce of disrespect or any negative energy towards us when we were dressed in drag and wearing MAGA hats.
Oh, really?
Yeah, not
Because that's
one.
right at the border between the two, between North and South. So like, MAGA, okay, I can accept it as a
Right.
thing. Yeah.
Right. That was crazy.
The worst reactions we got, unsurprisingly, were the progressive people who were eating brunch in some of the more urban areas around there.
Yeah.
White, college-educated girls who took extreme offense to our hats. But of course, when we go up to the swap meet with the guy with a rat tail and 2 teeth, he thinks us being dressed in tutus is fucking hilarious.
Yeah, get a picture of you guys. It's
Yeah,
funny.
Yeah, like they love it. So
they
it
love
seems like one end of the political spectrum has a little bit more sense of humor, or at least
Yeah.
one part of the country.
Well, it's a shame that like a lot of liberal white women have entered themselves into the I'm going to be offended Olympics. Like I'm the most offended.
Right.
It's insane.
I'm
It's
more-
offense on the behalf of other people too.
Oh
which
yeah,
is
of
even
course.
more hilarious.
But even more than that, it's like I like the black guy's like I'm not offended. Listen, you don't know any better.
It's so
But I do,
condescending.
so yeah, it really is.
It's so racist. It's like, and then the same thing with. We were talking today in my improv class, which has a hellishly politically correct white woman teacher. She was talking about which cultures it's okay to make fun of. And at one point, she was listing like, yeah, all of Europe, Canada. And I was like, why Canada? Like, I wanted to hear what her reasoning is. She's like, Canada, because like they're doing pretty well. And I just thought, so what are you saying about sub-Saharan Africa? Are you saying they're inferior to us? Are they not real brainy down there? Like that is the subtext is these people get into our college easier. You can't make fun of them because they're little simple babies.
Yeah.
It's like I was imagining her with like a pith helmet in Africa, like one of those old propaganda drawings with a couple pygmies on either fucking side of her. Like, oh, the little blacks, you can't make fun of them.
Yeah, I do a lot of urban shows, and black people don't want to be coddled.
They
They
don't.
don't want you going up there and not saying jokes. Like like if you do I work at It's a Miracle. Like they want to hear that shit. They want you to go in. They don't
Absolutely.
want to be like protected for their feelings. They don't care. If it's
Absolutely.
funny, it's funny.
Yeah.
Even if the joke hits them, they kind of go, "All right, motherfucker, I like it. You know, I like what you did there."
It's tough finding the balance. I just read Jimmy Carr's book on jokes.
Oh, yeah.
Jimmy Carr is an English comedian who's a joke wizard.
One-liner genius. Yeah.
One-liner genius, vicious, very anti-PC. His book was addressing racial humor, and it talked about if it said what you should try to shoot for is if you tell a joke and you're nervous that there might be black people in the audience or around you as you're saying it, that might be an indicator that it's a little bit too mean and not quite enough clever or funny enough. But if you're willing to say it like you're willing to say your Jesus bit in a club full of black people, if you're comfortable doing that, then the joke's probably A-okay, green light.
Yeah.
This is just funny material.
I think that's a great litmus. I'm like, anything I say, like on my podcast or anyone else, I'm like, well, if I say it on a comedy club, I'll say it in my podcast.
Yeah.
That's always good. If you can say it on comedy and you don't get booed off stage, then it
Yeah.
probably has some legs,
Probably
or at least
okay, right.
Yeah.
And it seems like what you say, what can be said in comedy clubs. Because I mean, you got like guys like Dom Herrera saying faggot like openly, and we say faggot openly here, but I still feel uncomfortable saying faggot. Like
I would
you
probably
know.
not say
Yeah,
that word.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
I hate to say this, but there are certain things. I have a daughter, right, who's 19 at Berkeley. Mm-hmm. I know I look like I'm in my 20s, but I'm not, guys. Anyway, no, but
got
my
a
daughter
daughter.
is like, and she is,
They really were like, what?
for lack of a better word, she is woke. I know that's not the proper term.
Of course, yeah.
I was a young man, 21, had a one night stand. Anyway, so
Happens.
she and I've, you know, if I was on a Tinder date with someone like her, I'd be like, check please.
Right.
But she's my daughter, so I really try to listen. And I think she's a little oversensitive. She's got to relax. But I'm also kind of like, all right, I can see what you're saying. Like FNC, those are the three big ones, right? I used to say, and also like the R word. I mean, whatever, retard. I'll say I'm not gonna be like that precious,
yeah.
but like I used to have a lot of jokes where I would say it, and
I think I've seen you say retard on stage.
yeah, because
for
I
sure.
do a joke like I go, I would say like, oh, I was like, that's retarded. I was like, oh, you can't say retard, you have to say Trump supporter. So, I'd play both sides,
Yeah.
split the baby. But then I started thinking about like, is it so funny that I need to use the word?
Yeah.
Do I really need to, so the question
Is
is
it
not like,
low-hanging fruit?
can
Yeah.
you say it? The question is like, is it worth it to
Yeah.
stake jobs on the fact that, because if someone wants to, let's say you blow up and all of a sudden like, oh, he said the F word on a
Right.
podcast, is it worth it to you? So you could
Right.
also stand behind it. I mean, I work with Jay Moore, and Jay Moore says everything on stage. He
Yeah.
says the N word constantly on stage.
Wow.
But he
Yeah,
goes,
I saw him.
he goes, if people come up to me and they're like, you said the N word, he'd be like, okay.
Yeah.
Well, you said the N word. Yeah, and what's your point? You shouldn't. Is that what you think? All right.
Yeah, here's my take on that. And I think that any word, the way I look at it is so many of my comedic heroes, like I'm sure Jay Moore's comedic heroes, I said it like Louis C.K. has N-word bits. Doug Stanhope, I was just listening to him go on stage and say that he can't be told that any combination of sounds is off limits.
Yeah.
And the working thing, you're so embedded in Hollywood and the jobs and stuff that I totally understand why you wouldn't want to alienate a future employer. But for me, I feel like I've already burned those bridges. It's not going to happen. And I have struggled with, there are a couple videos where I have said it, I'll just say it now because I've said it in other videos, nigger. And it's always been in a comedic context. It's never been a hateful, yelled out the window as we drive by a group of those people. But if I take down those videos, or I stop saying retard or faggot, I'm just worried about what will come next. Because I've seen a lot of people, since BLM happened, since Me Too happened, going back and deleting old content or losing sleep over other material they've done that was edgy. And I don't know where that's going to end. Am I going to completely forsake my identity as a comedian
Well,
if...
Yeah. I mean, the answer is it ends somewhere.
Right.
You know what I mean? It does end somewhere. It's not the
Has
slippery slope that like pretty soon I can't say woman because I said it without WOMYN. You know, like it's not going to get that.
I mean, the people in my improv class were talking about how they're worried to make fun of even Canadians and Scandinavians because they're worried that in 5 years, and they weren't saying this ironically or like, oh shit, this society's going downhill. They were like, well, I don't want to offend Canadians if it's not okay to say Canadian jokes in 5 years.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Will it end?
Well, this is the only thing I will say in terms of personal experience. Back to Tucker Max. So I had a compilation reel, and right now I think it's like I had a clean one and a dirty reel, right? And the dirty reel was 7 minutes. So Jay Leno used to have a segment called Jaywalking on The Tonight Show. I don't know if you remember it, but a guy would go around and like mess with people. So my little video got disseminated around Hollywood. So a lot of agents saw it. And Jay Leno's people were interested in using me. And so they were talking Laugh Factory, And then all of a sudden, Jamie Masada, owner of Laugh Factory, he goes, buddy, what you doing saying N-word? Buddy, what you do? Why you just ruined job? You lost job. I go, what are you talking about? At the 7 minute mark of a video that I didn't send them, but it was a compilation reel, I go, and I'm reporting what I said, so I don't want to be all disingenuous and say the N-word. I'll say exactly the joke that I said. And again, this is all off the cuff. I'm just riffing. There was a little person who was there. And obviously that was a big feature of the movie. So I say, oh, as serendipity would have it, we have a midget here tonight. He goes, oh, I'm sorry. That's not PC. I got to use a proper word. We have a snow nigger. No, we have a height nigger. So So it is it's an old riff on the snow and the blah 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 blah. So we have Mitch. Oh, I'm sorry. The proper term is height nigger, and then, which was a funny thing at the time, and it was literally the very last second of this video.
That's
compilation.
Austin's favorite thing in this podcast by far.
It's pretty good.
It's pretty funny.
So, but that lost me the job.
Jesus.
So was it worth it? Of course not.
Yeah.
Would it be better to have like Jay Leno connections and Jay Leno money?
Yeah.
Of course. So, I mean, for me to go like, oh, I'm standing by my artistic integrity, like eat a dick. Like Shane Gillis lost his SNL because of the stuff about, and all he really needed to do was grovel and apologize. Grovel and apologize. You know what I mean? It's a big deal. Take the job.
I feel like doing what you think is funny though, and being happy and at peace with it, and not analyzing your back catalog and constantly biting your nails in fear of losing work. I feel like that's the way to live. I have a buddy, I'm not going to say his name, and it's not you, Leo, which it's going to sound like this is directed directly at you.
Oh, really?
I have a buddy who is terrified about getting Me Too because he's fucked hundreds and hundreds of girls since he's been in a high profile position. Loses sleep at night constantly, is always in talks with his lawyers about how he's going to combat it if a case does come up. I can't even imagine how much money he's lost, how much his productivity has been squandered because he's just constantly worried about this sort of thing. If I thought like that, like, it's not worth it because I might lose a job on Leno at some point, I feel like that mindset of fear would stick with me. And I feel like it's better for me to just be like, yeah, I might get kicked off YouTube, which I don't. I completely play by the community standards. But I, in my head, am okay with that prospect of getting kicked off any platform because I always know some new medium will surface that I can continue to do exactly what I think is funny on. And I know I'm a good person, so it's not going to be some like KKK/comedy.com.
Yeah.
Like it's going to be something legitimate. And that's how I run my mind now.
Yeah, well, that's great. And by the way, you're also someone, because you developed a fan base and a following on your own, you're sort of uncancelable.
Yeah.
Can't be canceled.
Most people are just like beholden to corporate interests. So like I don't have a following other than like what people will hire me to do.
You have a little following. And
I mean, I guess so, but at the same time, like
it's unfortunate you weren't able to you had how many million views on that the video with the N-word in it?
How a white man says N-word to a black man?
Yeah.
Have you seen that video?
No.
Dude, that one blew up on every platform.
Yeah.
And if there was a way for those people to even know that was you, that would have been nice.
Well, the big problem was the guy who produced it. I forget, Scott Montoya is his name, this piece of shit. He has some company called LOL Flicks, which no one's ever heard of, but he was a producer on the show. Basically what happened is this show, Chocolate Sunday Comedy Special, was on Showtime. They showed one episode, kind of as a pilot. It didn't take. But the initial clip was this bit I did, me and two black guys, about how a white man says the N-word to a black man. I keep going like, hey, we guys like, where's my money? It's like, I'll give it to you next week. And I point to the black guy, and he's like, nigga.
Yeah.
So basically, he becomes my scapegoat, right? And it's a fun bit. It really did well. And it probably aggregate got like 120 million views with all the different like stuff.
Crazy.
Recently.
Together.
About the last 5 years, right?
Yeah, 5 or 6 years. So anyway, so I wanted to put it on because I wrote the sketch and I was in it and I wanted to put it on my website. But this Scott Montoya guy, because he was so fucking jealous that it blew up without his direction, he put a like an earmark on it or a copyright watermark or something. So you can't put it out. You can't, like if I were to take the clip and try to put it on my Instagram, it would get removed instantly because of some weird. I wish I knew how to break that shit. I need a good computer hacker to break it.
Yeah.
Because I'm sure it's not that hard.
Yeah.
Austin, you're a nerd. Can you do that?
Austin might be
He's
able to do
either
that.
too
Not much of a
stoned or too
hacker.
tired from playing RuneScape.
All right, fine.
Can't
But
accept
yeah,
the extra
so it got
work.
like, but it hasn't given me any work at all or any money at all.
Yeah.
You've made a comfortable living off doing television appearances and stand-up, though, haven't you?
I've been okay. No, I wouldn't say comfortable. I mean, I'm okay. I don't have to worry about food,
Right.
type of thing.
Can I ask you about what happened in New York did you really lose your life savings with a crooked
I lost
lawyer?
$500,000. Yeah,
$500,000.
yeah. 'Cause
How did that happen?
I owned an apartment in Manhattan that I bought when it was really cheap. I bought it from doing breakdancing videos in Spain, believe it or not.
Jesus.
That was like back in the day. So, and I had this little apartment, Hell's Kitchen. Hell's Kitchen went from Hell's Kitchen to Hell's Foyer. It became like Boys Town because
Right.
Chelsea got saturated and then it like moved up. So, so the apartment was creeping up to like $1 million, and I was I had a roommate who was a 2-bedroom, 2-bath railroad apartment. He like left town for 6 months, so I Airbnb'd it. Unbeknownst to me, my co-op was like setting up a lawsuit to get me evicted based on Airbnb, even though it wasn't illegal. It's such a slippery fucking slope,
Right.
and co-ops operate under something called business judgment rule. So if they say you're bad for business, you can get removed without any rights.
Gotcha.
So no lawyer would take it because they knew that. But then I found a lawyer who said, oh yeah, we're going to beat this kid. And then he just fucking lied to me. And he kept saying we were winning, kept saying we were never fucking winning. And then he put a lien on my apartment. His name's Kent Guberud. Fuck that guy. He put a lien on my apartment without
guys,
telling me.
go
What's
have
a
a
lien?
field day.
A lien means that, like, while he's defending my apartment and trying to win this case allegedly, he puts a claim on my apartment, a financial claim on my apartment. So eventually he kept saying, oh, we're winning, we're winning. It was basically like a guy with like a flaccid dick, like, look at that boner. Look at that fucking raging boner. Like, there's no raging. What are you talking about, weirdo? So I had to fire the guy. And when I fired him to sell, because I was like, fuck it, it was 2 years, over 2 years. I was like, I got to sell my apartment. I had to hire a new lawyer. And the new lawyer was like, there's a lien on your apartment. He put a financial claim. I'm like, isn't that a conflict of interest to have a financial claim on the thing you're defending? You're like, yeah, but you going to sue a lawyer now?
Right.
I'll sue him. It costs $25,000 retainer. It'll take about a year and a half in court. You want to do it? And I'm like,
Oh my
Jesus. So I had to pay him like $130,000.
Paid the
lawyer. No, the lawyer that I had, I'd already paid him like $150,000.
the scumbag lawyer.
Scumbag.
Yeah, scumbag.
I already paid him $150,000. Then he put a lien for $130,000. When the co-op caught wind of this, they doubled their asking price for legal fees to $130,000. So I go from basically $500,000. I lose on a sale of an apartment that had a short sale. It was like less than like $850,000. So you leave $350 total. Taxes, everything. I'm left with like $150,000 off the sale of my apartment.
Unbelievable.
So that was, that's not very fun. But it made me realize. This is what it made me realize, though. If you have any legal situation, they don't care about fucking justice. They don't care about fucking good, bad morality. They just want to fucking settle the argument as quick as possible. They don't fucking care. And whoever has the most money is going to win.
Is going to win.
Yeah, that's why everyone like at the Supreme Court, Amy Coney Barrett, like, oh my God, she's like, they don't fucking care. They're supposed to be amoral. They don't give a shit. They just want to work to defend their client or to make a judgment. There's no like, you know what? Your story, you're a single dad with a daughter in college. I'm going to let this slide. That's not how it fucking operates.
Unbelievable.
TV movies, that's what it looks like. Like the judges are like, you know, I've thought about this. No, they're just like, the rule says this, bye, you're done.
Right.
Yeah, it's like people were all up in arms when Casey Anthony got acquitted of murdering her daughter. It's like, well, the defense's job is to raise a reasonable doubt, and the prosecution's job is to prove how she killed the baby. The prosecution didn't do that. So, I mean, do you want to be thrown into life in prison for a case that was not proven against you? No, that's how the legal system works.
Same thing with Breonna Taylor. I mean, as sad as that was, like, it was clear to anyone who knows anything about the law of the legal system that those cops were not going to be charged with murder. Yeah. There was no legal precedent or law that would let them be convicted. No. Yeah. So meanwhile, you know that's going to happen. You're like, okay, I wish everyone would really know the law so that but you already know riot's going to break out.
Right.
George Floyd, that guy will probably not go to jail for first-degree murder or second-degree murder.
Right.
Because there was enough to show that there was some doubt about that. So what's going to happen when he gets off? It's going to be
mayhem.
And it's a shame because he should go to. I think he should, and I think the judge should be like, "Fuck it, just to save the country, let's put this guy away for life." But at the same time, like they don't operate from morality; they operate from like what is the law. Right. It's very cut and dry, you know.
Yep.
Which is good.
Which is good.
It adds some consistency, but I guess it adds some consistency. But in the case of this apartment, it sounds like a big swindle.
Yeah,
that's fucking sad.
A lot of crooks in New York, huh?
It's scary too, man. It's like, how do you think you think you're making a smart financial decision by buying an apartment and generating rental revenue from it, but then you sell the thing that's worth $1 million for $150,000.
Yeah, I know. I like to think like, well, maybe that was good because if I'd had that money, I might just blown it all on cocaine and hookers and eight balls and fucking who knows.
That's like the story of Norm Macdonald. He was in Atlantic City with a briefcase of $60,000 after doing stand-up, and he threw it in the ocean because he was worried if he kept it, he would have gone and lost $120,000 on the casino tables.
Oh, wow. Interesting. I know that about him, yeah.
Do you have any advice, Bill, for safe investments for people like myself or Leo or Austin's got no money to invest too?
Big tech, man. Big tech. AI and big tech, blockchain, AI, big tech.
Big tech.
If you can get it on Apple, Amazon, Tesla, if you get it on the blue chip ones, just fucking do it.
Big tech. What about big dick? That's a good investment too, Austin, right?
What about Pokemon cards?
That's we did a video.
Oh yeah, I didn't even get
We
that.
did a video where I told him I was wired out of my head on Adderall and real drunk. My girlfriend's friends were all fucking hot, and I've got my YouTube goon squad. Everybody's hopeless with women aside from Leo, yeah. And we sent Austin downstairs. I get to him, like, go up to this girl over there. Tell him, some people invest in gold, others invest in real estate. I think you need to invest in a guy with a big penis. And he's on, by the way, 4,000 milligrams of edibles when he goes over and does this.
He did that.
So he's stuttering. He's overanalyzing everything. He looks petrified. He goes up and he stutters and finally gets it out. And the girl just says, "Ew, oh my God, get away from me," and crosses the room. So I guess big dick isn't such a smart investment after all, is it?
By the way, do you guys have parents? Is Danny your dad? What's going on? You have parents who are, look at you smoking a fucking bong right now. 18-year-old on a couch.
I smoked with his parents, so
Oh,
I
I get
guess,
it. Oh, that's right. The conservative
hippies, yeah.
Why do I sound like Bill Burr all of a sudden? What are you doing over there? Smoking a fucking pipe.
Leo and I also came up.
That's a good build.
Leo and I came up with a great idea for a video.
Oh, a
too,
couple.
to
I
do
told
at
him
my
already.
house.
Yeah, I told him. He said,
We're
it's
talking
very,
about it.
yeah, we're gonna maybe do something with that.
And keep smoking weed. Take a load off. You're coming off a very lucrative Yu-Gi-Oh trade. You've earned it. All right, guys. What time are we at, Austin? I feel like we've done a solid
We're
Hour and a half.
Hour 40 in.
hour 40 in.
Hour 40.
Anybody have any? I've got a thing we can end on.
Okay, fine. I'll show you my dick. Here we go.
Yeah. Austin's brother. You're going to follow suit. Austin, can you play the clip that I had queued up for you? Leo brought my attention to something this weekend as we were driving home in the Uber from Palm Springs, which is a hilarious Uber ride, by the way.
Oh, it was really funny. This is a quarterback.
Baker Mayfield, quarterback for the Cleveland Browns.
I wish we could hear it. Oh, look at that. Yeah.
This is a white man dancing in front of a prominently African-American football-playing
Oh,
crowd.
yeah, just killing it.
And Leo, I don't know if you were really high or really drunk, but you said this in the car. You said, "Yeah, man, if you know how to dance and you're a white guy, all the black guys in your life will respect you." No, but can I continue? Can I say the exact word you said?
Sure.
Like, my buddy, he played varsity basketball,
He
the
did. He
only
said
white
this.
guy on an all-black team.
He told me
He said
this.
it's almost like you can control them if you can dance.
If you can dance like them, you can control them. That's what he told me once.
Do you think that's
My buddy.
the correct word to use there, Leo?
I would use
Sorry.
that. I mean, if you're quoting someone,
I was
you're
quoting
fine.
somebody. It's my buddy said
Just,
that.
there's going
He
to be
was
someone
at
going to
college.
pull a clip of you saying, if you
Right.
can dance, you can control them. Look what he said.
Yeah, exactly.
So
no,
take that
but
out
it
of
was.
context.
Yeah, it was.
I'm picturing a cross-eyed Indian dude at the flute controlling a spitting cobra. All right, it's
Yeah,
not
yeah,
okay to apply the same language
Hey,
to humans.
Absolutely, I agree. I thought it was funny that he said that. And
Yeah.
then, Baker Mayfield he's a very good dancer, and he's
Yeah.
he
I used to be a
definitely-
professional breakdancer. I used to open up all my urban shows with like breakdancing.
That's crazy,
And like
man.
doing the worm and shit. And still do sometimes because I'm like, oh, they're not going to like me. Let me just do a little like pop and lock stuff
Right.
to get it going,
Yeah, would you say, Bill, that when you do that, you can control the audience,
Oh God!
make them laugh on command?
Look, my buddy said that. All right, he played college basketball, Division I, and
You have to
he was very
disavow
good.
them like Trump and the
Yeah, yeah.
neo-Nazis. You have to disavow everything this guy
I will
said.
disavow him.
Also, Leo gets in the car.
Oh yeah.
Leo wanted to. You spoke, Bill, about do you really need to say faggot to make a joke funny? No, it's absolutely a shortcut.
It is.
Absolutely a better comedian and writer. Shouldn't use it as a crutch.
But
It is so funny so often. One of the hardest times I've ever laughed is when we were dropping our cameraman Nico back off in his gated community, and the gate guard had to let us through
Oh, yeah.
manually.
Yeah.
Nico's in the back seat conversing with this guy. Nico's got a voice on the higher side. Yeah, man, I live at 19 over there. Yeah, it's me. It's my house. Leo, as we're pulling away, as the gate guard hits the button, goes, "The kid's a faggot," to the gate guard.
I was warning the guy. I was was like, "Hey, that guy that lives at 4986 there, he's a real faggot."
Did the guy laugh?
Yeah,
No, but we laughed.
We laughed.
Really,
which was
but-
more importantly, we couldn't even really get it out because we were already laughing when we were saying it.
So we decide, Leo and I cook up this idea. At this point, I'm not even going on the Uber ride with them, but cameraman Nico and Leo decide that they're going to Uber from Palm Springs back to LA, a 2-hour Uber ride because my car broke down.
Right.
Leo gets it in his head to film himself selfie style, to get in the car, and within a couple of sentences, say to this faceless Uber driver. You don't know where he is politically, what race he is, his sexual orientation. Leo goes, yeah, we had a pretty good times in Palm Springs. Too bad this guy right here was being a huge faggot. Just rolls the dice on this guy having a sense of humor.
He died. He loved it. It was the best Uber ride we've had in a while.
And then and I know because they circled back and picked me up.
We picked him up, and
because
then
I decided I wanted to come. The guy the whole time we were just saying the most inappropriate stuff. The guy thought it was fucking hilarious.
He thought it was so funny.
But I wish so bad that you would have gotten a guy who was a graduate of Berkeley, moved back in with his parents, taking a semester off, then he was reapplying for grad school. I wish you would have gotten that guy as your Uber driver.
Just pulls over
and
right away.
Just cancels the ride, gives you a 1-star review, perhaps bans you from the app.
Oh, yeah. Instead, this guy got a nice tip, and it was one of the funniest rides home. He actually agreed to go pick up fat chicks at some point, too. We agreed that we were going to pull over to a
Body
bar.
positive chicks, Leo. Come on.
Body positive chicks, yes. We were going to pull over and just pick up some large women. And he agreed. He's like, I'll kick out. I'll fuck it up with you guys. Let's go.
Did he get a good tip? Cameraman Nico paid that guy.
We gave him $25.
Oh, okay. That's
not too bad.
I suppose that's a good tip.
The problem with that word is as much as you're doing it for fun and you're being like Loki's and mischievous and stuff, and I'm all for that. Like there are also people who use that in such an awful, derisive, violent way that it's hard to like. You can say, "Well, I'm not that guy," but then the only way that you can say is, "Do you say the word or not?"
Right.
So I'm being a fucking bitch. I get it, guys. I'm a cuck. I understand. I am, but I'm recently just kind of going like, if I had a joke that was really great that involved that word, sure, I would use it.
Absolutely. Yeah, and Dom Herrera that's what he's actually saying. I think he says like, yeah, I'm not using it to be, against the gay guys. I just say, oh, why are you having a soup? It's 98 degrees outside. What are you, some kind of a faggot?
I exclusively use slurs to hurt people and find enjoyment in it.
Yeah, no, Bill, I totally oscillate between being for it in comedy, being against it, thinking it's a crutch, thinking it's not. I remember one time in Virginia, I was like, Leo, well, you got to say faggot right now at the table to the guy in the gay club.
I was really drunk.
But like I go through periods where I think it's cooler and sometimes not cooler too. I guess on this podcast, I hope our audience knows that we have good intentions when we say it.
Of course.
I hope when we say it in a video, there's enough context around it always that it's blatantly apparent that it's comedy. I remember one time I was training jiu-jitsu actually, Bill, and there was a dude on the mat who was saying that some kid he competed against. He's like, yeah, I hate that dude who trains with Gracie Baja. That kid's a fucking faggot. And I winced and I was like, dude, not cool. Because nobody knows where you're coming from here.
Yeah.
We don't have the context. There's nothing comedic about it. Do you hate the guy because he warms up in a rainbow rash guard and because he has limp? Like, is he gay? Is that why you actually hate him?
Right.
But I think the only time I say it is around my roommates, in videos where it's clearly in context in a joke, or on this podcast where our audience shares our sense of humor.
For sure. One of my favorite jokes Daniel Tosh has, where he says, look, guys, I don't care one way or the other. I don't have a dog in the hunt, but like, what do you guys think about faggots getting married? It's such a great line because people are going like, oh, wait, what? Like,
That's exactly right. So, like, at the same time, where there's so much homoeroticness in this group in general with all the penis showing and shit, I mean, it's obvious that we're not homophobic in any way. So that's another reason I feel comfortable saying it. But yeah, absolutely. It's something I'll think
and also,
about.
like Theo Vaughn has a joke. Goes, my cousin came out to me the other day. Says I'm gay. I'm like, it's 2020. Who cares? What else you got? You're just gay. Big deal.
Yeah, big deal.
That is a great joke format. The idea of reeling the audience in by making them think you're going to take the PC stance and then just hammering them with the punchline.
Oh, those are the best.
The guy who does that really well is Nick DiPaolo. He's got a joke in Midlife Vices, another great. I put that special probably up there with Skanks for the Memories as far as great, where he talks about a woman who was recently appointed to the Supreme Court. Was it the one who just died? I don't know about anything about the Supreme Court. Maybe. It's a chick on the Supreme Court, though. And he says, my buddy keeps saying to me, dude, I don't know if I feel comfortable with the broad on the Supreme Court, because what if she's on her period or something? She's not going to be very rational. And I said, this is Nick DiPaolo now, how fucking ignorant are you, buddy? Yeah. And of course the audience is like, woo! Like thinking he's going to take a feminist stance here. And Nick DiPaolo's letting him ham it up. It's like, yeah. She's almost 50. She's going to have her period. She's bone dry. She's almost as good as a guy now. And that's one of his go-to joke formats is he reels people in with this PC take and then he just punches them in the nose with something real offensive.
Yeah, that's always fun. I like that. Yeah.
All right, guys, I think that's going to be it. Bill Dawes, you were a fantastic guest, man. I
thanks,
love
man.
it.
Plug your podcast, what you're doing.
Oh yeah, I
everything,
want I want you on my podcast too, Danny.
I'm
for
not
sure.
coming.
All right, fine.
Unless
whatever.
All Right Austin comes too. And
yeah,
we measure
go.
his dick live in studio.
It's not too far from here. You can definitely-
Yeah, thanks, guys, man. You're awesome.
Absolutely.
Yeah, Bill,
Thank you.
seriously.
Oh, it's called The Afterlaugh. Is the name of the
Afterlaugh.
podcast.
The Afterlife, we're going to link that in the description.
And-
Bill, that was great, man. That was a very high-level discussion of comedy. We haven't had something like that.
that was phenomenal.
It was fun, man.
Always great
Anytime
talking to
you
you,
need a sidekick to ride on your coattail.
Follow Bill on Instagram. He's got some great material on there all the time, and it's a good follow.
He writes a good post-Me Too apology post.
He does anything you need, dude. He's got you.
That's probably going to be me in a
Yeah,
couple months.
I'll send that to you. You'll like it. Dude.
I probably need it.
It was fucking awesome.
Leo the Tavio, delete Danny. That's
My
what we're
theory
saying
now
about-
about like how to avoid the Me Too stuff in general is like as a guy, just start on your. It's like jujitsu. Start on your back.
Become gay.
If you start on your back, not on your stomach.
Yeah.
If you start on your back,
Yeah.
like how Me Too-y are you going to be if you're starting on your back?
Exactly.
That's a good point.
And it sucks, dude, because Bill, I think the three of us know, these assholes know, that that's not what women want at all. I mean, my girlfriend recently, she's been hinting. There was one day when I really took it to her. It was spanking her. I threw her down on the floor, was spitting on her face. She had to hint at that a couple of times. Like, remember that time at your house in Sacramento, down on the floor? That was really hot. I can tell she's just like, every time I look her in the eye and fuck her missionary until I come, she's like thinking about
Boring.
Yeah, exactly. She's thinking about People magazine and some bitch's eyebrows she saw on Instagram and how she can replicate those. It's
true,
and
man.
like I've had to crank it up a notch and become more aggressive. It's crazy that chicks, there's this double think going on where even the most, these feminists on their fucking podcasts and blog posts are like, I have no shame in my sexuality. I like to get fucked hard and on the first night and by 10 guys. But then on the other hand, it's like if you say, hey, sexy from across the street, you're Hitler.
Right.
Yeah, no, but again, it is tricky, but it puts the onus as guys, as alpha guys with bigger dicks than Austin to just really be, you gotta be fucking super aware.
Careful,
so either
yeah.
like start on your back or start giving her oral.
Yeah,
like
there you
those are
go.
the two ways to start.
Absolutely.
Don't kiss her. What are you, a fucking fag? No, I'm kidding.
So, Bill, if you can clear this up for me, there's still some gray area surrounding the donkey punch. Can I recommend it?
Yeah, that's
Two
just good
thumbs
old
down?
fashioned American lovemaking right there.
That's good. That's just American love.
Donkey. There's an English movie. I was talking about the donkey punch in a kitchen I used to work in. There was this big redheaded English chef who showed me a British film that is about donkey punching. And it's a horror movie in the mode of like Sharknado or Anaconda with Jennifer Lopez. That's about a spring break gone wrong where a dude fucks a girl on a yacht and gives her a fucking donkey punch and she dies.
That's a real film?
It's a real film. And it's like, you could tell the budget was like $10 million. It's got a really impressive trailer.
It's called Donkey Punch?
Can you pull it up right now, Austin? Look it up. It's called Donkey Punch. It's an English film.
Oh, we're talking about films. I've
Donkey
watched
Punch.
Bill Dawes. You have a film on Amazon. I've watched it.
Oh, yeah, it's called Before the Sun Explodes. You're the one who saw it. Awesome.
It's a good film, man, and I recommend it. You should watch it. It's a good movie. You wrote and directed. What is
I co-wrote, I co-produced, and starred. It's,
then you starred in it. Yeah, it's good.
But it's about a comic who's like a 40-year-old comic who is kind of like his career hasn't really taken off. I don't know how I could draw from it.
I don't know.
Yeah, and so I think they kind of missed the mark in terms of talking about what it's like to be a stand-up because their other writer and director, they just didn't really respect stand-up. They think it's fucking goofy, and they kind of wanted to make a guy who's sort of like this ne'er-do-well as opposed to like a successful, funny comic. Like they deliberately try to make me not funny in the script, which doesn't serve the script. But that being said, it's interesting. It's weird. It's dark, and
It's dark. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's
People
it's
like
an
it.
entertaining film. Yeah, people
it was
like it.
up for competition at South by Southwest, and Amazon Prime bought it, so it's all right.
Yeah, that's a dumb choice to make the guy not funny because it's such a more human fear to be talented and be good at what you do and still not get the recognition you deserve. That is such a more relatable element to the script
and
versus
much more interesting storyline.
like
Yeah.
if a guy sucks and he's been
You're not
doing
gonna root
stand-up
for him.
you're like, get a job at Big O Tires, bitch. Like, what do you? I don't feel sorry for you at all.
Yeah.
Adam Carolla's got Road Hard. I don't know if you've seen that. It's a similar film. It's about about comics, a lot of his friends, not him personally because he's filthy rich, but guys like David Allen Greer, dudes he knew who had all this development money coming in the 90s and early 2000s, were in movies like Jumanji.
Yeah.
And then that money dries up, their career doesn't go so well, and then they're going back on the road at age 40, age 50 in Addison, Texas, or the Chuckle Hut and wherever the fuck, USA.
Yeah.
And that's what that movie's about. But it suffered from the same thing that I think brought down I Hope They Serve Beer in Hell, where they try to tie in the sentimentality, and Adam Carolla falls in love in it with a younger woman. And it's like, you have to be such a skilled screenwriter to pull something like that off.
Yeah.
And that's not what he originally wanted to do, but this was like, you know what, you need a love interest to
Yeah.
make this work.
It's like when I did stand-up in New York, I'm so realizing now that I should have taken out 60-70% of the words in my jokes and just adhere to a setup punchline format where this is a good joke right here, this has been getting a laugh, everything around it gets chiseled away until we're left with joke, 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 joke. If the set is 4 minutes long, but then I do my fucking pony act with the fucking the fishing rod and the yellow waders I wore out there.
The 5 minutes.
Great.
Yeah.
That would have been the better move.
Absolutely.
And unless you have the skill to be a Bill Burr or Louis C.K. and have something to say by virtue of having done stand-up for 20 years, stick to the funny.
Yeah.
And the same with the screenwriting of Adam Carolla or Tucker Max. Stick to the funny.
Yeah, yeah. Like I said, Danny, it's right there for you. If you want to do it, dude, you could be a great big comic. And
We're
have a great
definitely
life
going to do a fucking stand-up show again, dude.
Well, yeah, we'll see how it goes. Maybe like a very brief little, like I said, simple stand-up portion and then a live
course.
podcast.
Yes.
That's great. A lot of people are touring with podcasts these days. Yeah,
Absolutely,
for
yeah.
sure.
And if we did a podcast like this, plus we brought up kids and roasted them as if they were Austin, we're getting plenty of practice.
Yeah.
That would be a great format where the audience would be getting their money's worth.
Absolutely.
But if we, like, you see these comedians like Jason Nash, like a YouTube comedian. I like Jason Nash. I think he's cool. But he's doing stand-up, and you can tell he jotted down his notebook on a Southwest napkin while flying to the venue.
Yeah.
Like, that is his act. And it's like you're ripping the audience off.
Of course.
Yeah.
Of course. Yes, I agree. But yeah, we could combine something, but it's definitely, I think live performance is awesome, and we should try to do something.
I'm down, yeah. I'm
And I
down.
can bring all
And
this
Bill
equipment
Dawes-
to do that.
And Bill Dawes will be there too.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, man.
All right, Austin, do you want to end on, what are we at? Oh, the fucking Donkey Punch trailer?
Yeah, what's it called?
It's called Donkey Punch,
I
right?
pulled it up. I pulled up the movie poster. I can bring it up again.
Can we play it with...
The trailer?
Is there a trailer?
Yeah, there's a trailer, dude.
I didn't pull up the trailer. I couldn't do
Austin,
Austin, you're fucking fired.
you're fired,
God
dude.
Damn it.
Go
I thought
back
you
to
just asked me
Nebraska
to
in
pull
the
up the
cornfield.
movie.
Yeah. Go back to burning a cross with a mouthful of Copenhagen and somewhere in Alabama. That's Austin, dude. Come on.
It's right here.
Okay. Well, this will be the outro. Donkey Punch.
In retrospect, it's fun to haze young people. So.
It is.
Yeah,
It's the best.
We'll forgive Tucker on that one. And I already. I can crank
You
it
get
up a
to
little.
see the logos again.
Anyone
Crank it
heard
up?
of a donkey punch? That's how it started.
Right, what's everyone drinking?
Champagne.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Game on.
What now, ladies?
You're welcome to come back to the yacht and have a drink with us.
You've got a yacht.
Do I?
Is this the one? Is this the one that's going to get donkey punched?
Yeah.
See what it's all about.
This is so much buildup of nothing happening.
Anyone heard of a donkey punch?
Ever heard of a donkey punch?
Proper hardcore.
I am hardcore. Oh, it makes your chest go cold.
Why don't we take this downstairs?
He killed her with a donkey punch?
Yeah.
Accident. We have so much shit. Doesn't look good. So she fell overboard. No proof of anything.
This is insane. Ever heard of a donkey punch?
I wasn't on board until the punch got delivered. Then I started buying it.
Dude, we need to see this.
Like a couple coked up iBanker types or whatever they have in London. That's the equivalent.
Yeah.
Get on a yacht. They're trust fund babies. They have no conscience. They got to dispose of a dead body. It makes sense. They would try to kill the rest of the girls who saw it.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
it's either the worst movie ever made or it's one of the best movies ever made.
I'm not sure which. We can't judge until we view.
All right. Well, it's a good podcast, man. Thanks for coming.
Yeah, guys, thanks again, man.
We're done.
All right, now to party.